Chapter 3277. Snow fluttered in the air. Lin Feng looked into the distance. That area. It was shrouded in restrictions all year round. That was where the Palace of Cold Blood was located. The restrictions of the Palace of Cold Blood aren't easy to break. It's extremely terrifying, Yuan Beixian said. Lin Feng nodded. I know, but no matter what, I plan to give it a try. Lung Wushuang has indeed gone mad. She's even willing to harm her own sister. Yuan Beixian shook his head. He had guarded this place for many years, so he knew Lung Wushuang very well. However, Yuan Beixian had never thought that Lung Wushuang would do things to this extent. Lin Feng said, You've guarded this place for so many years. What have you been thinking all these years? I'm thinking about that once innocent girl. I just don't know if her innocence came from her heart. Yuan Beixian said. Uncle's heart has begun to waver? Lin Feng asked. Yuan Beixian shook his head. I've never wavered. I still love her. It's the best thing for a lover to finally get married. Lin Feng sighed. Perhaps, sooner or later, Uncle will be able to resolve this misunderstanding with Lung Wushuang. Who knows? So many years have passed. It hasn't been resolved yet. Perhaps there won't be another chance, right? Yuan Beixian said. Uncle, what do you mean? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. He had a feeling that Yuan Beixian's words had a hidden meaning. He seemed to want to express something else. However, he didn't say it explicitly. Yuan Beixian said, When the time comes, you will naturally know. Lin Feng understood Yuan Beixian's character. Since he didn't want to say it, he wanted to ask for the reason. That was almost impossible. I'm going to break the formation, Lin Feng said. Go, but be careful, Yuan Beixian reminded. Lin Feng nodded. Then, he flew toward the Palace of Cold Blood with Du Zhu, the evil sovereign sage, and the two ghost emperors. The Palace of Cold Blood was surrounded by restrictions, so they couldn't see it at all. The only thing that could be seen was the terrifying restrictions that densely covered the void. This kind of restriction would only be activated once every 1,000 years. And in 1,000 years. It was also the time when the Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood woke up. In fact, there was another saying in the outside world, which was also a widely known saying. The Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood, Lung Wushuang, would only awaken once every 100,000 years. But in reality, this statement was not correct. The Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood would awaken once every 1,000 years, but the duration of her awakening was extremely short. At the very least, it would only take a few breaths of time for it to fall asleep again. Even if it was longer, it could only last for 7 or 8 minutes before falling into a deep sleep again. As such, awakening once in 1,000 years. The Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood could not leave the Palace of Cold Blood in such a short time. And once every 100,000 years, the Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood, Lung Wushuang, could remain awake for a month. She had plenty of time to get out and about. This was the reason why it was widely rumored that the Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood would awaken once every 100,000 years. Lin Feng knew that Lung Wushuang only woke up once every 1,000 years from Lung Wuxin. The restriction that enveloped the Palace of Cold Blood was extremely powerful. Lin Feng studied the deployment spells for a while and realized that it was extremely difficult to break the deployment spells. However, Lin Feng's formation skills were extremely high. He felt that with his formation skills, it was only a matter of time before he broke the restriction. I hope everything goes well for you, Yuan Beixian muttered to himself. Then, he returned to his residence. This Yuan Beixian is no ordinary person. Although he hides his strength well, his aura is extremely terrifying. The Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood actually made him worry for so long. Just what kind of person is the Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood? Du Zhu couldn't help but ask curiously. Lin Feng continued to study the restriction around the Palace of Cold Blood as he spoke. The Palace Master of the Palace of Cold Blood is a peerless beauty, but her heart is like that of a snake and scorpion. In the past, she was a pair of lovers with Uncle Yuan Beixian. However, there was a misunderstanding between them. It is said that Lung Wushuang has a suspicious nature. She suspected that Senior Yuan Beixian had an ambiguous relationship with her sister, So she captured her sister and imprisoned her to interrogate her about her relationship with Yuan Beixian. Leng Wushuang's sister and Yuan Beixian were innocent, so she naturally wouldn't admit it. However, with Leng Wushuang's suspicious nature, she didn't believe it at all. Thus, she continued to torture her sister. In the end, Leng Wushuang's sister admitted that she had an affair with Yuan Beixian. Leng Wushuang then killed her sister and broke off her relationship with Yuan Beixian. All these years, she has always wanted to kill Yuan Beixian. However, Yuan Beixian loves her very much and has always been waiting outside the Palace of Cold Blood. There's such a complicated story. Du Zhu, the heretic sovereign sage, and the two ghost emperors were astonished. Lin Feng nodded and said, "The most terrifying thing between lovers is to suspect the other party of being unfaithful. Once the other party is suspected of being unfaithful, it will definitely lead to a series of terrifying consequences." Leng Wushuang is a living example. The evil sovereign sage said, "This woman is indeed ruthless." The saying that a woman's heart is the most poisonous is indeed true. Lin Feng shrugged his shoulders. He said, "This sentence is ambiguous. Even the most poisonous woman's heart has to be divided. Many women are very kind-hearted." In the next few days, Lin Feng continued to break through the restrictions of the Palace of Cold Blood. Until that night, a rain of blood actually fell from the extreme north. This was the northernmost part of the Sky Martial continent. It was so cold. There was only heavy snow. It should be impossible for rain to fall. But now, yet, there was a rain of blood here. Following that, the cold wind howled. A woo-woo-woo-woo sound came from the wind. It was so eerie and terrifying. Something's not right. Lin Feng frowned. "Look, over there." Suddenly, Du Zhu pointed into the distance. Du Zhu pointed in the direction of Yuan Beixian's residence. "Not good. Something terrible must have happened. Let's go and take a look." Lin Feng's expression suddenly changed. He thought of what Yuan Beixian had said to him before. At that time, Lin Feng felt that Yuan Beixian was implying something. But Yuan Beixian didn't say it out loud. Now that he saw the change in the distance, Lin Feng felt Yuan Beixian must have known that something was about to happen to him. Hoo! Suddenly, a violent wind swept through the world. It directly swept towards Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the evil sovereign sage, and the two ghost emperors. That gale wanted to tear apart the bodies of Lin Feng's group of 5. Hurricane Pearl. Lin Feng quickly took out the Hurricane Pearl and stopped the violent wind that was sweeping through the world. TSK. Chapter 3278. Even though he didn't know what had happened, but when he heard that eerie and terrifying laughter, he was shocked. Lin Feng felt that something terrible must have happened to Yuan Beixian. Fortunately, the Hurricane Pearl was able to stop the huge storm. Lin Feng's group of 5 quickly rushed towards Yuan Beixian's residence. However, by the time they arrived, it was already too late. The wind that swept through the world finally dissipated. When Lin Feng and the others arrived at Yuan Beixian's residence, they found that Yuan Beixian was nowhere to be found. Blood. Du Zhu pointed in a direction of the courtyard. There was blood there, melting the snow. Whose blood is it? Lin Feng couldn't help but frown. Could it be Yuan Beixian's blood? Evil Sovereign Saint said. Perhaps it's really possible. Du Zhu couldn't help but say. Lin Feng's expression was gloomy and ugly. Yuan Beixian had a deep relationship with him. Now, Yuan Beixian had actually disappeared. Who was the existence that appeared in the blood rain? Could it be that even an expert like Yuan Beixian couldn't fight against it? Should he say, Yuan Beixian had already suffered a calamity? Let's split up and see if there are any clues. Lin Feng said in a deep voice. Yes. Everyone nodded. Then, they quickly split up to search for Yuan Beixian's whereabouts. Lin Feng searched for a total of 10 days. However, he couldn't find any clues about Yuan Beixian. After meeting up with Du Zhu, Evil Sovereign Saint, and the two Ghost Emperors, he found that Du Zhu and the others couldn't find any clues either. We've already done our best for this matter. Young Master, you don't have to blame yourself too much. Du Zhu said. Evil Sovereign Saint said. Yes, young Master. Everyone has their own destiny. What should happen will happen in the end. Others can't help much. Lin Feng nodded and said, I understand what you're saying. It's just that seeing an old friend disappear like this makes me feel depressed. Then, Lin Feng sighed. There were too many things in this world. It made people feel helpless. There were too many things. It made people feel very helpless, and they did not know where to start. Just like what happened to Yuan Beixian today. Since it had already happened, he had to face it. One should look forward, not backward. In the end, Lin Feng calmed himself down. Together with Du Zhu, the heretic sovereign holy sage, and the two ghost emperors, they returned to the Palace of Cold Blood. He continued to break the restrictions of the Palace of Cold Blood. It took about 10 days. Lin Feng finally tore apart the restrictions of the Palace of Cold Blood. He entered the Palace of Cold Blood with Du Zhu, the evil dominator holy, and the two ghost emperors. As soon as he entered the Palace of Cold Blood, numerous flying swords slashed at him. There were more than 1,000 flying swords, and they were extremely powerful. In the distance, the female cultivators from the Palace of Cold Blood controlled their flying swords to attack Lin Feng's group of 5. Young master, let me play with these little girls. The poison ancestor grinned as he spoke. Du Zhu opened his hand, and terrifying beams of light were shot out by Du Zhu. Clang, clang, clang. The beams of light collided with the flying swords of the female cultivators from the Palace of Cold Blood, and the flying swords were sent flying. Then, Du Zhu opened his hand. A huge palm was formed. Du Zhu grabbed all the flying swords in his hand. Huff! Then, Du Zhu opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of gas. Soon, the female cultivators from the Palace of Cold Blood went limp and fell to the ground. There's poison in the air, someone reminded. However, it was too late for the others to swallow the antidote. In fact, even if they swallowed the antidote, it might not be able to neutralize Du Zhu's poison. Seeing the group of female cultivators lying limply on the ground, the poison ancestor smiled and said, I heard that the women of the Palace of Cold Blood have all given up on love. However, if something romantic were to happen between you two, I wonder if you would feel the 7 emotions and 6 desires? You dare? The expressions of the female cultivators from the Palace of Cold Blood changed drastically. Stop teasing them. Tell the person in charge to come out. Lin Feng said. The poison ancestor nodded and said, Where's the person in charge? Quickly show yourself. Otherwise, we might do something outrageous to these celestial maidens that are as beautiful as flowers. Whoosh! At that moment, there was a flash of light. An old woman appeared. The old woman looked at Lin Feng with a sinister gaze and said, Lin Gongzi, when you broke the formation, I didn't use the formation to attack you. After Lin Gongzi entered the formation, you ordered your subordinates to harm the people of the Palace of Cold Blood. What is the meaning of this? Lin Feng said, Du Zhu didn't harm them. He only temporarily made them lose the ability to attack. When I broke the formation, I sensed Granny's aura. Since Granny didn't use the formation to attack us, it means that we can sit down and talk. The Palace of Cold Blood doesn't welcome Lin Gongzi. Before the palace lord wakes up, Lin Gongzi should leave quickly. The old woman said. Lin Feng said, I came here because I have something important to discuss. Oh, something important? What is it? The old woman couldn't help but ask. Lin Feng said, judging from Granny's age, you must have watched Leng Wushuang and Leng Wuxin grow up, right? The old woman nodded. However, she didn't say anything else. Lin Feng said, Granny, you should know that Leng Wushuang poisoned Leng Wuxin, right? I know. The old woman said, Exiner is poisoned. Only Leng Wushuang can save her. Lin Feng said. Sigh. The old woman sighed. Back then, when the palace lord poisoned Third Mist to kill Lin Gongzi, I knew it was impossible. Now, it seems like my prediction has come true. However, the palace lord has fallen into a deep slumber and can't cure Third Mist. Granny, please help me awaken Leng Wushuang. Lin Feng said. No one dares to disturb the palace lord's slumber. The old woman said. Lin Feng said, Granny, do you want to see Exiner die a horrible death? Granny, please help me. The expression on the old woman's face became uncertain. In the end, she nodded and said, All right, I can give it a try. Everyone, please follow this old one. The old woman led the way. The group arrived outside the palace of Cold Blood's main hall, the Shrine of Cold Blood. Everyone, please wait outside, the old woman said. Lin Feng and the others nodded and waited outside. The old woman entered the Shrine of Cold Blood. About 10 hours later, a terrifying aura was awakened in the Shrine of Cold Blood. Lin Feng couldn't help but be astonished by that chi. When did Long Wushuang's aura become so powerful? Chapter 3279. When Lin Feng first met Long Wushuang, because his realm was still relatively low, it was difficult to determine Long Wushuang's cultivation level. Originally, Lin Feng thought that Long Wushuang might be a giant god or a quasi-emperor. But, as Lin Feng's cultivation increased, he made a new judgment. He felt it. Long Wushuang's cultivation level should be at the Godlord realm or the Immortal Emperor realm. But now, Lin Feng realized he had actually guessed wrongly. Long Wushuang's aura was simply too powerful. It was definitely far from the realm that Lin Feng had guessed. Lin Feng felt it. Long Wushuang's aura was most likely the aura that only an Emperor realm cultivator could emit. Bam! At this moment, along with a dull sound of collision, there was a loud sound. The door of the palace shattered. The old woman's body flew out. With a plop, she fell to the ground. Palace Master, please spare me. The old woman knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. You dare to wake me up? You deserve to die 1,000 times. However, since I woke you up this time because of Lin Feng's arrival, I will spare your life. Long Wushuang's cold voice sounded. Then, she stepped out. Thank you, Palace Master, for sparing my life. The old woman kowtowed to Long Wushuang. Lin Feng said with a gloomy expression, no matter what, you have been together for so many years, and you are even an old man who watched you grow up. To think that you would be so ruthless, I really wonder how Uncle Yuan fell in love with a venomous woman like you. Lin Feng, you reckless thing, you took the initiative to come to the Palace of Cold Blood to die, and you even dared to mention the name of that evil thief, Yuan Beixian, in front of me. You are simply courting death. Long Wushuang looked at Lin Feng coldly, her eyes flashing with killing intent. Lin Feng sneered and said, Long Wushuang, don't think too highly of yourself. With the 5 of us working together and many treasures, we might be able to flatten your Palace of Cold Blood today. However, I didn't come here today to fight a life and death battle with you. I want you to help me neutralize Long Wuxin's poison. Ha ha. Long Wushuang laughed and said, I knew that little bitch was useless. I can't kill you. And now, it really came true. You want me to save that little bitch's life? Sure, cut off your own head. I can save that little bitch. Lin Feng said with a gloomy expression, that's your sister. If you keep calling her a little b asterisk tch, then what are you? Back then, you killed your elder sister. Do you want to kill your younger sister as well? Hearing Lin Feng's words, Long Wushuang's face twisted slightly. She screamed angrily, Yuan Beixian told you? Yuan Beixian even told you about this. Fine, fine, fine. I won't kill you. I'll capture you and have Yuan Beixian come to see me. When the time comes, I want to see if Yuan Beixian will give up his life to save you. As soon as she finished speaking, Long Wushuang was about to attack. Lin Feng said indifferently, you don't need to waste your time. You might not be able to see Uncle Yuan again in this lifetime. Hearing that, Long Wushuang shook her head. Hearing that, Long Wushuang was slightly stunned. She then asked, what do you mean by that? Lin Feng said, something happened to Uncle Yuan. Not long ago, there was a rain of blood, and an unknown creature appeared. By the time we rushed over, Uncle Yuan had already disappeared. In the courtyard, there was only blood that seemed to belong to Uncle Yuan. No, that's impossible. Long Wushuang couldn't accept what she heard. She roared as if she had gone mad. How could this be? How could this be? She kept roaring, and her eyes turned blood red. Uncle Yuan has never done anything to let you down. You should trust him and not doubt him. A few days ago, I asked him if his feelings for you had changed. He said that he still loves you. His love for you has never changed. That's why he chose to guard this place alone for so many years. You only have hatred for him, but he has never hated you. He only has love for you. Nothing else. No, you can't leave me. You can't die. You can't leave me. You can't die. Lung Wushuang screamed and rushed out like a madwoman. Perhaps, until now, she finally understood her own heart. Let's go and take a look, Lin Feng said. He also rushed out quickly. Du Zhu, evil dominator saint, 2 ghost emperors. The old woman and many people from the Palace of Cold Blood quickly chased after them. When they rushed out of the Palace of Cold Blood, they heard Lung Wushuang's miserable screams. After rushing out of the Palace of Cold Blood, Lung Wushuang's body underwent a terrifying change. Lung Wushuang's body began to rot. She was an extremely beautiful woman. Now, her body was rotting piece by piece. This scene made one's hair stand on end. Any woman. They all hoped that they would always be beautiful. But Lung Wushuang was currently experiencing inhumane torture. Not only was her body rotting, even her beautiful face was rotting at this moment. Not to mention that such a thing happened to an extremely beautiful woman. Even if it happened to a man, it was enough to make him collapse. It was a fate worse than death. Beixian, I want to see you again. Lung Wushuang let out a mournful cry. She pushed her speed to the limit, wanting to quickly reach Yuan Beixuan's residence. What happened to Lung Wushuang's body? Why did her body change like this after leaving the Palace of Cold Blood? Lin Feng looked at the old woman and asked. The old woman shook her head. Even she didn't know what had happened to Lung Wushuang. Right now, the old woman was extremely worried about Lung Wushuang. She increased her speed and chased after Lung Wushuang. Lung Wushuang felt that her consciousness was becoming more and more blurry. She could vaguely see a person in front of her reaching out towards her. Beixian, Lung Wushuang called out. It was as if she had returned to her youth. She still clearly remembered the first time she saw Yuan Beixian. It was after the rain. In the mountains. She danced gracefully. Countless butterflies were attracted over. Yuan Beixian passed by and was also attracted. After the dance ended, Yuan Beixian walked over and said with a smile, I'm Yuan Beixian. May I know how to address you? How old are you? Have you been engaged to her? At that time, she had never seen such a straightforward person like Yuan Beixian. She had treated him as a lecher and left in a huff. However, fate had intertwined, causing the two of them to meet again and again. Too many things had happened in between, until the two of them were finally together. Plop! Lung Wushuang could no longer hold on. Her body fell from the sky and landed in Yuan Beixuan's courtyard. Chapter 3280. Second Miss. The old woman quickly rushed to Lung Wushuang, who had fallen in the courtyard. Lung Wushuang's body was already rotten beyond recognition. Her aura was very weak. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh slightly. At this moment, his dissatisfaction and anger towards Lung Wushuang also lessened a lot. Lung Wushuang was extremely hateful, but she was also an extremely pitiful person. Perhaps, many times, a pitiful person must have something hateful. However, when he saw the miserable state of others, as long as he had 7 emotions and 6 desires, he would always have some compassion. The old woman directly carried Lung Wushuang and quickly rushed in the direction of the Palace of Cold Blood. The current Lung Wushuang was no longer the cold and heartless palace master in the old woman's eyes. She was no longer the palace master of the Palace of Cold Blood who injured her. She was the second miss she had watched grow up. If I had known this would happen, why did I do it in the first place? Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. He quickly followed because he still needed Lung Wushuang's power to help Lung Wuxin detoxify the goo poison. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't want to see Lung Wushuang die like this. Soon, everyone returned to the Palace of Cold Blood. Lung Wushuang was placed on the ice bed in the Palace of Cold Blood by the old woman. Lung Wushuang's rotten body began to gradually recover. It's very much like a curse, Du Zhu said softly. Lin Feng couldn't help but nod. It was indeed as the poison ancestor had said. Lung Wushuang's current situation was as if she was suffering from some kind of curse. And curses were one of the most terrifying things. They couldn't be seen or touched. It was extremely strange. Many times, it was impossible to guard against. Lin Feng had several terrifying curses on his body. However, these curses hadn't broken out for a while. Perhaps it was because these curses restrained each other. Therefore, they didn't break out. Leave Wuxin here. Wait for me to wake up. I will cure her. But I have a request. Long Wushuang opened her eyes. She looked a little weak now, but she stared at Lin Feng and said, "What request?" Lin Feng asked. "Help me find out about Bei Xian." Long Wushuang said with a trembling voice. Yuan Bei Xian stood guard outside. Although Long Wushuang had always misunderstood Yuan Bei Xian. However, in the depths of Long Wushuang's heart, she wanted to see Yuan Bei Xian even more. As such, when he woke up for a while, he would go and see Yuan Bei Xian. However, the hatred in her heart made her do things that hurt Yuan Bei Xian again and again. So many years. Yuan Bei Xian had never blamed her, because Yuan Bei Xian loved her. Therefore, he had been guarding this place and had never left. Until Yuan Bei Xian met with a calamity. Only then did Long Wushuang know. It turned out that, as always, she couldn't leave him. When I really left him, it was so painful. The reason why she hated Yuan Bei Xian so much all these years wasn't just because she suspected that Yuan Bei Xian was in love with someone else. The most important reason was that he had blamed his elder sister's death on Yuan Bei Xian. Even if Big Sister was tortured to death by him back then, Long Wushuang had mixed feelings. She was a suspicious person to begin with, and what happened back then, it made her more and more crazy. But now, Long Wushuang only hoped that one day, she could see Yuan Bei Xian again. Even if you didn't say anything about this, I would still try my best to find Uncle Yuan. Lin Feng said, "Thank you. I hope it will be a good result. When I cure Wuxin, I will no longer interfere with her life." Long Wushuang said. Then, Long Wushuang fainted. Long Wushuang's body was in a worse state. It was unknown how long she would be asleep for. "Grandma, I'll leave Wuxin to you to take care of," Lin Feng said. "Lin Gongzi, don't worry, this old one will definitely take good care of third miss," the old woman said. Lin Feng nodded. His spiritual will moved. Long Wuxin, who was sleeping in the mountain and river ring, flew out. Lin Feng held her in his arms. "Put it on the white jade cold bed. This is good for third Miss's body," the old woman said. "All right," Lin Feng replied. Then, he placed Long Wuxin beside Long Wushuang. Then, he reached out and gently rubbed Long Wuxin's face. He didn't stay in the Palace of Cold Blood for long before leaving the Palace of Cold Blood with Du Zhu, the evil sovereign saint, and the two ghost emperors. Evil sovereign saint, go to the country of desire and ask them to help find Uncle Yuan's whereabouts. At the same time, spread the news to the 9 regions and ask the Reincarnation Immortal Sect to mobilize all their forces and connections to find Yuan Beishuan's whereabouts. Lin Feng said, "Yes, young master. This subordinate will do it right away," the evil sovereign saint hurriedly said. Then, he went to the country of desire. "I hope we can find Uncle Yuan," Lin Feng muttered. Not seeing Yuan Beishuan's corpse gave Lin Feng hope that Yuan Beixian was still alive. As long as there was any hope, Lin Feng would not give up so easily. "Let's go," Lin Feng said. Then, he left with Du Zhu and the two ghost emperors. Next, Lin Feng planned to go to a few places of death to take a look. He wanted to explore the places of death again. He came to the nearest place of death, the God-Falling Cliff. Lin Feng had entered this place several times and knew how dangerous the God-Falling Cliff was. There was even an ancient demon weapon, the Devil Blood Saber, sealed in the God-Falling Cliff. Countless cultivators in the outside world had imitated the Devil Blood Saber and created all kinds of demon sabers. And they were even named Devil Blood Saber. However, those were all fakes. The only real demonic blood saber in the heavens was the one that was suppressed in the God-Fallen Cliff. Terrifying beyond compare. Lin Feng planned to collect the Devil Blood Saber for his own use in the future. But he knew, how could a treasure like the Devil Blood Saber be so easy to collect? If he wanted to collect the Devil Blood Saber, he needed powerful strength. Lin Feng avoided the area where the Devil Blood Saber was located and came to the deepest part of the place of death. There was an abyss there. At the bottom of the abyss, endless demonic chi lingered. A terrifying aura spread out from the depths. Even with Lin Feng's current cultivation level, he still had the feeling that his hair was standing on end. You don't know the meaning of death? How dare you come here? In the depths of the abyss, a cold voice sounded. Control yourself. Lord Ruler has a relationship with him. Another voice said, I really don't understand. Why would an existence like Lord Ruler have a relationship with such an ant? A third voice sounded. I don't know. Who can guess what the Lord Ruler is thinking? The fourth voice was a woman's voice. Lord Ruler is sleeping. Don't wake Lord Ruler. A fifth voice sounded. It was the voice of an old man. Chapter 3281. Lin Feng stared at the abyss in a daze. He still remembered how he had almost been killed by the demonic blood saber. It was a mysterious little girl who had saved him. That little girl was shrouded in primal chaos. He couldn't see her face clearly. Lin Feng had always suspected that the little girl was a creature of the forbidden region. Now that he saw the abyss, Lin Feng suddenly thought of that little girl. Did she live here? Young master, this place is unsuitable for further exploration. Even if it hides a gargantuan secret, I have a feeling. If we insist on exploring this place, we'll most likely lose our lives. Du Zhu said with a grave expression. After arriving here, he felt very uneasy. Leave. We won't kill you today. A voice suddenly rang out from the abyss. Lin Feng asked, Is that little girl here as well? Little girl? In the depths of the abyss, the ancient existences looked at each other in dismay. Next, everyone couldn't help but smile bitterly. Someone actually dared to call the Lord Ruler a little girl? If news of this were to spread, who knew what sort of shocking scene it would cause? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask. Let me give you a word of advice. Don't be so curious about the forbidden region. The only reason you were able to reach this place was because the Lord Ruler saved you. That's why we didn't kill you. However, the other creatures of the forbidden region have no relationship with you. If you recklessly explore this place, only death awaits you. At that time, no one will be able to save you. Next, the voice rang out once more. As soon as the voice rang out, a powerful wave of energy swept up Lin Feng, Du Zhu, and the two ghost emperors. The powerful wave of energy tore through space and sent Lin Feng's group of four away. When Lin Feng's group of four reappeared, they were already outside the God-fallen cliff. Ruler. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. The word ruler wasn't something that could be casually used. Lin Feng had heard that there was a ruler among the otherworldly creatures. Moreover, in the wastelands, there was also a title like ruler. Lin Feng didn't know if the ruler of the land of death was related to the foreign creatures or the creatures in the wasteland. But whether or not they were related, Lin Feng was clear. The ruler of the land of death. He was definitely one of the most terrifying existences in the universe. Lin Feng pondered for a moment and gave up on exploring the other death zones. In the following period of time, he made a trip to Mount Huagua. He went to the country of desire. Before leaving the Sky Martial continent, Lin Feng planned to go to the stone hall where the divine servants were. The divine servant was the famous Judas. This old thing had failed to possess Lin Feng before. Then, he told Lin Feng that he was dying and didn't have much time left. He planned to return to the stone hall and finish the last part of his life. At first, Lin Feng believed the divine servant's words. It wasn't until he appeared on Lulan Island that he saw the divine servant again. However, the divine servant had been in a hurry at that time and hadn't noticed Lin Feng. In the depths of an ancient and gloomy forest, low growls could be heard from time to time. Dozens of golden giants were guarding the stone hall. In the eyes of these golden giants, the stone hall was an incomparably sacred shrine. The golden giants had killed a few giant beasts. Now, they were sitting around a bonfire and cutting open the giant beasts' stomachs. They began to prepare their dinner. In the depths of the stone hall, clattering noises could be heard. The trapped woman struggled, trying to break free from the shackles. Her eyes were filled with hatred and resentment as she looked at the divine servant who had appeared. I'm already old. You're already old. I really miss my youth. Back then, I thought that I could successfully possess your body and return to my youth, but in the end, I still failed. Perhaps this is fate, something that can't be changed. The divine servant said to the woman. The woman said, perhaps something unexpected will happen. I've always believed in one principle. Those who are unjust are doomed to destruction. The wicked will be punished by the heavens. The divine servant suddenly let out a strange cackle. He looked at the woman and said, Goddess Luo, even you think that I'm a wicked person? Goddess Luo, the daughter of the human race's ancestor, Fuxi. Fuxi, one of the three sovereigns of the human race. The woman imprisoned by the divine servant was actually Goddess Luo, the peerless goddess in the hearts of countless people in the past. Isn't that the case? Goddess Luo sneered. At this moment, the divine servant narrowed his eyes and said, An old friend is here. Outside, Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the heretic sovereign sage, and the two ghost emperors entered the stone hall together. On the way, Lin Feng had already told the four of them in detail about the divine servant's identity. At the same time, Lin Feng told everyone to be on guard against the divine servant. Although this old thing's life had come to an end, it was still not to be underestimated. Moreover, Lin Feng felt that the divine servant was hiding a secret. Now that Lin Feng had come to find the divine servant, he wanted to test the divine servant. Within the hall, numerous stone coffins emitted a cold and terrifying aura. Long time no see. I didn't expect you to come here. The divine servant walked out from the darkness. His body looked very old, as if he would be buried at any moment. However, his cultivation was very strong, and no one dared to underestimate him. Senior Judas, do you welcome me? Or do you not welcome me? Lin Feng narrowed his eyes. Of course you welcome me. We're friends, aren't we? The divine servant grinned. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. The divine servant, that old thing, was truly shameless. He actually had the nerve to say that they were friends. Back then, Lin Feng had almost been possessed by this old thing. If not for his fear of the divine servant's strength, he would have killed him long ago. Lin Feng put on a fake smile. That's right. Of course we're friends. Now that a friend has come, I'd like to ask a few questions. Would that be all right? What do you want to ask? The divine servant asked without batting an eyelid. What happened in the past? How did the three sovereigns fall? Lin Feng asked. The three sovereigns of humanity. They were Fuxi, Serene, and Shunno. There was a saying. The three sovereigns were called the three sovereigns of heaven, earth, and man. Heaven represented the vastness of the heavenly Tao. Earth represented the origin of all things. Man represented the enlightenment of all people. Thus, of the three sovereigns of humanity, the heavenly emperor referred to Serene. The earthly sovereign referred to Shunno. The human sovereign referred to Fuxi. Of course, the three sovereigns of heaven, earth, and man were titles of the era of titled gods. Serene, Shunno, and Fuxi were the first generation of titled gods. After them, the three sovereigns of heaven, earth, and man were born. But when people spoke of the three sovereigns, they mostly referred to Serene, Shunno, and Fuxi. They died in the chaos of war. Chapter 3282. Lin Feng asked, which war? It was a complicated one. It involved sentient life forms, beings that transcended epochs, and even otherworldly creatures. At the time, the Supreme Court and the Door of Everlasting Life were constantly leaking precious treasures. Many factions fought to get their hands on them. Humanity was also caught in the crossfire. Humanity wasn't weak at the time, but there was still a gap between them and some of the top powers. Therefore, it wasn't easy to survive in this chaotic world. The three sovereigns fought many battles to protect humanity. They fell one after the other. Where are their corpses buried? Lin Feng's voice was somber. Judas's explanation was simple, but Lin Feng could still sense how difficult it was for the human clan back then. They died on the battlefield, their corpses wrapped in horse hide. Where are their bodies? Of course, they may have been taken away by others. Only our descendants don't know. Judas explained. Lin Feng's face darkened. The three sovereigns had contributed so much to humanity. After their deaths, even their bodies couldn't be found? It was a sad story. That's how it was back then. Too many strong people died. Human lives were worthless than grass. Judas continued. Judas's old eyes flashed with nostalgia. Memories of the past. Memories were still fresh in his mind. What about their legacy? Was it lost just like that? Lin Feng frowned. Judas sneered. What? You asked so many questions. In the end, it all came back to their legacy. I thought you really cared about the three sovereigns, but in the end, you were just thinking about yourself. Lin Feng's voice was flat. Of course I care about the three sovereigns. They were the ancestors of humanity, and they did so much for us. My admiration for them is like a river that never ceases to flow. Judas rolled his eyes, then shot Lin Feng a sideways glance. He said, You really know how to blow your own trumpet. Lin Feng said, As a human cultivator, it is our duty to carry forward the legacy of the three sovereigns to greater heights. So, you're here to ask me about the three emperors' orthodoxy? Judas asked. That's only one of my goals, Lin Feng said. He paused for a moment. Lin Feng continued, As old friends, you won't refuse to answer my questions about the three sovereigns' orthodoxy, right? Of course not. But I don't know where the three emperors' orthodoxy is. You don't know? Lin Feng frowned. Lin Feng felt as though Judas hadn't said anything yet. Lin Feng had always been wary of this old man. Of course not. Only the descendants of the three emperors know about the legacy of the three emperors. After the three emperors fell, the descendants built a tomb for them. Maybe we can find the legacy of the three emperors in the tomb. Judas said, It seems that you don't know where the tomb is. Lin Feng said indifferently, That's right. I really don't know where the tomb is. Judas replied, Thank you for your information, Lin Feng said. With that, he turned to leave. Judas was old, and his cultivation had plummeted. But he was not to be underestimated. Therefore, Lin Feng didn't want to break all pretense of cordiality with Judas. There's no need to be so formal between friends, Judas said. Lin Feng said, I have some business to attend to, so I won't stay any longer. Farewell. Take care, Judas said as he personally escorted Lin Feng and the others out. But then, a voice came from below the stone hall. Let me out. It was a woman's voice. It was hoarse and unpleasant to the ears. Her vocal cords had long since been broken. When this voice was heard, Yi Zichen was stunned. Judas's face fell. Every time Judas came out, he would seal off the underground chamber to prevent any sound from escaping. But this time, Luo Shun's voice came out. Obviously, Luo Shun must have used some special means to achieve this. She had never acted strangely before. That was why Judas had been so careless. Whose voice is that? Lin Feng was just about to leave when he turned to look at Judas. It's a woman who has no idea what's good for her. I've been lonely all these years. I'll imprison her. At least I'll have someone to talk to, Judas explained. He waved his hand, and runes began to intertwine. Once again, he strengthened the seal. No more voices came from below. Judas saw Lin Feng's uncertain eyes. What is it? Young friend, do you want me to release that woman? Lin Feng's smile didn't reach his eyes. I just thought of someone. Who? Judas asked. Luo Shen, Lin Feng said. Judas' face didn't change. Why mention her now? She had been dead for so many years. To mention a person who had passed away was disrespectful to the dead. Lin Feng went on. You've been guarding this chamber for so long, and you've never felt lonely. Why have you been feeling so lonely lately? Have you ever heard of the saying, something strange must happen? What do you mean by that, young man? Do you think I'm lying to you? Judas asked in a low voice. I don't know if I'm lying, but there is one thing I want to confirm. I want to see who this woman is. I've always been a curious man, and I want to see if she's a beauty. Now that I've had a soft spot for the fairer sex, I hope Judas can grant me my wish. Lin Feng said. Preposterous. You want to see her? What do you think of me? Judas' face was dark and gloomy. Luo Shun was imprisoned below. He couldn't allow Lin Feng to go down there. Or else, the secret of this chamber would be exposed, said Lin Feng indifferently. You keep saying that we're friends, but I don't see any sincerity in you. Since you don't consider me a friend, I don't need to be polite with you, Your Excellency, said Lin Feng indifferently. As soon as he spoke, Lin Feng took out his black dragon sword. Hefting the weapon, he swung it at Judas. When he saw Judas' grim expression, Lin Feng's eyes widened. Lin Feng knew he'd guessed right. The woman imprisoned beneath the chamber was not someone who'd stumbled into this place by accident. She was most likely Fuxi's daughter, Luo Shan. How could Lin Feng sit idly by and watch the daughter of humanity's founding ancestor be imprisoned here by Judas? "Kill this bastard!" Du Zhu shouted. Du Zhu unleashed a torrent of poisons to drown Judas. The heretic holiness claws were his most powerful weapon, and they swiped at Judas. The two ghost emperors summoned two chains. These were the legendary soul-binding chains, treasures of the underworld. They were designed to reel in souls and spirits. The two ghost emperors had stumbled upon them not long ago. Chapter 3283. Judas was strong enough. Therefore, even if he was at the end of his tether, Lin Feng was not about to let his guard down. If he let his guard down against someone as strong as Judas, even if he let his guard down, he could die a horrible death. That much Lin Feng knew. Boom! A terrifying aura erupted from Judas' body. "If you want to die, then I will fulfill your wish." Judas' voice was cold as he opened his hand. His palm came crashing down. The incoming attack enveloped Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the heretic holiness, and the two ghost emperors. A giant hand of energy materialized. Then it came crashing down on the five. The energy fluctuations contained within the energy palm were truly terrifying. It was shocking. Judas lived up to his reputation as a titled god. Even at the end of his life, he was still so strong. It was hard to imagine just how strong this old thing was at his peak. Lin Feng waved his hand. Suddenly, the heavenly profound pagoda, a defensive magic treasure, quickly flew out and floated in mid-air. The pagoda emitted a powerful barrier that protected the five. At the same time, Lin Feng and the others' attacks collided with Judas' giant hand of energy. The five of them worked together to block most of the attack power of the energy hand. The remaining power of the energy hand was neutralized by the heavenly mystery pagoda. "Judas, I really didn't expect you to still have such combat strength. However, your era is destined to be over." Lin Feng looked at Judas with indifference. The sword in his hand, he continued to slash at Judas. Dazzling beams of light shot out from the blade, ready to cleave the world in two. Lin Feng pushed Black Dragon's power to its limits. Meanwhile, Lin Feng summoned his magnetic field. The magnetic field of Tyrannosaurus Dominion enveloped Judas. Under the suppression of the magnetic field, Judas' fighting strength plummeted. Finally, Lin Feng took out his celestial drum. Thunk, 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 thunk. The sky drum beat. A magnificent army of thousands of men and horses appeared, only to see the magnificent army. All of them came crashing down on Judas. 10,000 poison tyrant art. Du Zhu, on the other hand, displayed one of his most powerful poison techniques. A poisonous river was formed. It directly corroded the void and cracked it open. That poisonous river. Instead, they rushed toward Judas. Soul reaping. Soul lock. The two ghost emperors attacked, and the chains in their hands flew out. The runes on the two chains began to vibrate, emitting strange noises. That strange sound was truly peerless and terrifying. It could affect a cultivator's soul. Even Judas was affected. All he could see was an endless hallucination. The eldritch holiness charged at Judas like an unstoppable weapon. The evil dominator saint refined his body into a divine weapon. Therefore, he was incomparably strong in close combat. Therefore, Saint Xiezun was using Lin Feng, the poison ancestor, and the two ghost emperors to distract Judas. He approached Judas at top speed. Lin Feng's methods didn't need to be explained. They were terrifying. Du Zhu, the evil dominator saint, and the two ghost emperors were no ordinary grand emperors. They were grand emperors of the 9 states. The grand emperors of 9 states were far stronger than those of other worlds. What's more, each of them possessed a formidable set of skills. Therefore, Lin Feng and the others' attacks were terrifying. Worlds fall. Suddenly, Judas had unleashed a terrifying divine ability. After this divine ability was unleashed, behind him, a figure appeared. Behind him, a mysterious world appeared. That mysterious world covered the endless starry skies. It was an endless world. But now, in the various star fields and worlds, there were many star fields and worlds. They were drowned in a sea of crimson demonic energy. That crimson demonic energy came from Judas. What kind of power was this? How could it be so strong? Worlds Fall, this thaumaturgy, was definitely a powerful thaumaturgy since ancient times. Its power was simply too tyrannical. It came straight for Judas. Bang, bang, bang. It was accompanied by the sounds of violent collisions. Lin Feng and the others' attacks were all neutralized. And Lin Feng and the others were sent flying. Lin Feng wielded the Black Dragon Sword. He could even hold his own against some monarch-level cultivators. But now, even with Du Zhu and the others, they were no match for Judas. Judas, that old bastard, was too strong. This was completely unlike the strength of a cultivator whose combat strength had plummeted and was on the verge of death. Die. Judas's sinister laughter rang out. World's Fall was still hurtling toward Lin Feng and the others. Danger. Lin Feng's face paled. He felt the aura of death envelop him. Lin Feng tried to awaken Black Dragon Sword Spirit. As long as Black Dragon Sword Spirit could be revived. When the time came, Black Dragon Sword's power would greatly increase. At that time, perhaps he could even kill that old bastard. Yeah. Just as Lin Feng was trying to awaken Black Dragon Sword Spirit, suddenly, Lin Feng heard Bibi's cry. Bibi had been asleep for many years, because Bibi was facing the awakening of her bloodline. Although she would occasionally wake up, but every time she woke up, she would consume large amounts of heavenly treasures to replenish her energy. Then she would fall back into a deep sleep. After Bibi woke up, whoosh, there was a flash of light. Bibi disappeared from the world of the mountain river ring. A moment later, Bibi appeared behind Judas. You bullied Bibi's big brother. Bibi is going to beat you to death. Bibi screamed. She waved her little paw and swiped at Judas. Suddenly, a rainbow of light shot out from Bibi's paw. The rainbow light swept toward Judas. Bei had grasped the ability to traverse the void when he was just born. What more now? This kind of method had long been miraculous. So when Bibi appeared behind Judas, he didn't even notice. It wasn't until he heard Bibi's voice that he realized there was someone behind him. Judas's heart skipped a beat. He wanted to dodge, but it was too late. Bang! Bibi's rainbow light slammed into Judas and sent him flying. Ugh! Judas coughed up a mouthful of blood. His face went white as a sheet. It was hard to imagine how powerful Bibi's attack was. She had managed to make him cough up blood. Yeah. Bibi squealed twice as he swatted Judas away. He looked at his little paws, surprised by the strength he'd just displayed. Lin Feng was just as shocked. Bibi had only awakened her bloodline a second time. How was she already so strong? Furthermore, this little fellow had never really cultivated before. All she did was eat, sleep, and sleep. It was reasonable to assume that even after awakening one's bloodline, one wouldn't be too strong if they didn't practice. But Bibi wasn't like that. Chapter 3284. Little thing, I'm going to kill you. Judas roared and charged at Bibi. He wanted nothing more than to chop Bibi into pieces. Judas was a powerful being, but Bibi had beaten him to the point of spitting blood. This was more than he could bear. Judas wanted nothing more than to kill Bibi and vent his anger. Yee! Big baddie! I'll show you Bibi's power. Bibi's voice was as childish as ever. Her race was special, and no one knew what it was. Perhaps it would take a few hundred years, or even longer, for her to reach adulthood. Therefore, Bibi was still a child. The way Bei was baring his fangs and brandishing his claws really made one not know whether to laugh or cry. This little guy's snow-white body was simply too adorable. Therefore, even though Bei was pretending to be ferocious, he was still very adorable. However, the little guy's strength was very strong. Judas was right in front of Bibi, and his palm was aimed at Bibi. Bei's body instantly disappeared without a trace. When Bibi reappeared, she was behind Judas. This was Bibi's heaven-defying power. This little guy's ability was heaven-defying to the point of causing others to be aghast. Bang! Bibi waved her claws, and a rainbow light burst forth. Once more, the beam of light slammed into Judas and sent him flying backward. "Oh!" Judas roared in rage. He was mad with rage, because this was too humiliating for him. Even with his powerful cultivation, he was unable to cause any harm to Bei. Fun. This is so fun. Bibi laughed. The little one found the fight amusing. Lin Feng and the others couldn't help but smile wryly. The little one was still too young. She loved to play. Bang, bang, bang. Bibi struck again and again. One blow after another landed on Judas's body. Judas took 20 blows in a row. He didn't know how many of his bones had been broken by Bibi. Judas was on the verge of exploding with rage. She couldn't wait to cut Bibi into pieces. However, facing Bibi's attack, he had no power to resist at all, because Bibi's speed was too fast. Most importantly, it didn't matter what Judas did. He couldn't imprison Bibi's body at all. This was the most fatal point. Although Bibi was young, she was very smart. He knew he couldn't fight Judas head-on, and he knew he couldn't fight him head-on. That would be too much of a loss. Bibi circled behind Judas. After a while, he went to the left side of the voice sound. A moment later, he circled to Judas' right. Judas was impossible to defend against. In the end, Bibi managed to severely injure Judas. "Let's kill this bastard together," Lin Feng sneered. Black Dragon hefted in his hand as he charged at Judas. Du Zhu, the heretic Holiness, and the two Ghost Emperors all joined in. "When I was at my peak, I could kill you all with a flick of my finger. A dragon in the shallows is toyed with by shrimps, and a tiger in the plains is bullied by dogs. Just you wait, I won't let you get away with this." Judas roared with rage, then fled for his life. If an expert of his level wanted to escape, it would be almost impossible for him to stay. In the end, Judas made it out. Lin Feng and the others gave chase, but Judas was nowhere to be found. It was a shame they couldn't kill Judas, but he didn't have much time left. There was no need to fear him. Besides, Lin Feng had a way to deal with Judas. "Little one, you've become so strong." Lin Feng looked at Bibi with surprise. Yeah. Bibi proudly raised her head. Rumble. But then Bibi's stomach began to growl. The little one looked pitifully at Lin Feng. "Go back to the mountain and river ring and eat some spirit fruit," Lin Feng said. Bibi's eyes lit up at the mention of food. Bibi didn't linger. She disappeared without a trace. The little one returned to the mountain and river ring and began to feast on the treasures Lin Feng had collected. "Zeta, this little thing is incredible." Du Zhu and the others couldn't help but exclaim. Lin Feng nodded in agreement. Then he said, "Come, let's go down and take a look." The 5 of them used their earthbound technique. They burrowed downward. Soon, they found a secret room. Lin Feng and the others entered the secret room and saw a woman imprisoned there. When the woman saw that someone had come in, she raised her head and looked at Lin Feng and the others. When she saw the woman's face, Lin Feng couldn't help but gasp in amazement. It was a face so beautiful it took one's breath away. No words could describe it. There were no words to describe that face. In myths and legends, the goddess of Luo was the most beautiful woman in the world. She was so beautiful that it could shock one's soul. She was like a fairy in a painting. So beautiful. Although the goddess of Luo had lived to this day, she was already very old. But the goddess of Luo must have cultivated a technique to retain her beauty. She could maintain her youthful appearance. Billions of years later, she was as beautiful as ever. "You are the goddess of Luo? The goddess of Fuxi?" Lin Feng took a deep breath and asked. Other than the goddess of Luo, he couldn't think of anyone else with such beauty. "That's right. I am the goddess of Luo. I was ambushed by the Judas. I was imprisoned here by the Judas," the goddess of Luo said. Luo's eyes finally shone with light. She'd been imprisoned for so many years that she'd lost all hope of ever escaping. But now, she saw hope. "Let me unchain you first," Lin Feng said. The chains that bound the goddess of Luo were special. They were capable of sealing off one's magic. Once bound, it would be difficult to break free. Lin Feng swung Black Dragon at the chains. Clang, clang, clang. A series of collisions rang out. All four chains were broken. Perhaps it was because she hadn't been able to move freely for so long. The goddess of Luo found it difficult to stand. She was about to fall to the ground. Lin Feng reacted quickly and caught her by the waist. "Thank you, sir." The goddess of Luo graciously thanked Lin Feng. "Don't be so polite, goddess of Luo. You are the daughter of the sage emperor, Fuxi. How could I not save the sage emperor's daughter when she was in trouble? It is only natural that I save you," Lin Feng said. He paused, then continued. "This isn't the place to talk. How about we go up first?" "All right." The goddess of Luo nodded. Seeing the goddess of Luo's beautiful face up close made him realize just how beautiful this woman was. She was the most perfect masterpiece of the Creator. She was so beautiful that no one dared to look directly at her beautiful face. Chapter 3285. Lin Feng hugged Goddess Luo's willow waist and flew up. The woman in the myths and legends. Now that she was by his side, this feeling was too wonderful. It was too inconceivable. A wonderful woman like Goddess Luo naturally had countless legends. There was even a great Confucian scholar who once wrote an article. This article had been circulating for hundreds of millions of years. It was very popular. It was read as a classic by countless people. This article was called Goddess Luo's Fu. The great Confucian scholar who wrote this article was said to have seen Goddess Luo from afar in the past. It was shocking. From then on, it was hard to forget. But when he went to find Goddess Luo, he found that Goddess Luo had long gone missing. So this great Confucian scholar turned the thoughts in his heart into words. This was the origin of Goddess Luo's Fu. Now facing Goddess Luo herself, Lin Feng couldn't help but think of the content of the article Goddess Luo's Fu. As graceful as a swan, as graceful as a swimming dragon, glorious autumn chrysanthemum, magnificent spring pine. It was as if the moon was covered by light clouds, floating like the returning snow in the wind. Looking from afar, it was as bright as the sun rising in the morning. Looking at it closely, it was as bright as a lotus flower. Her figure was slender and well-proportioned. Her shoulders were cut, and her waist was as plain as silk. Her neck was long, and her skin was white. Her beauty was incomparable, and her beauty was incomparable. Her hair was lofty, and her eyebrows were beautiful. Her lips were bright on the outside, and her teeth were fresh on the inside. Her bright eyes were good, and her dimples supported her power. She was gorgeous and elegant. She was quiet and leisurely. She was tender and charming, and her words were charming. Her clothes were unparalleled, and her bones matched the picture. Her clothes were dazzling, and her jade was magnificent. She wore gold jewelry, and her body was adorned with pearls. She wore the scholar's shoes for a long journey, and her silk dress was trailing in the mist. She was slightly beautiful, and her steps were hesitant in the corner of the mountain. Therefore, he suddenly leaped up and roamed freely. She leaned on the left, and the osmanthus flag was on the right. Her wrist was on the border of the gods, and she was picking the ganoderma of the wind. She stood in the air, and her sleeves were long. Her body was fast, and she was like a god. Wave-like subtle steps, Luo Xiong generates dust. His movements were impermanent, as if he was in danger or in safety. It's difficult to enter and stop. It's neither here nor there. She turned around, revealing her smooth jade face. She didn't say anything, but her breath was like an orchid. Her beauty and grace made me forget to eat. Hence, the wind was stopped and the waves were still. Fengyi drummed, and Yuhua sang. The Luoshan Fu had beautiful words. Luoshan's beautiful face was so moving. No one could face a woman like Luoshan. They would all develop yearning and adoration. After everyone returned to the stone hall, Goddess Luo's body recovered slightly. Therefore, he could act on his own. Lin Feng reluctantly let go of Luoshan. Judas told me that he and the North Pole Emperor pursued the Luo goddess at the same time. Both sides began to fight. In the end, Judas defeated the North Pole Emperor and won Goddess Luoshan's heart. Who would have thought she would be caught in the middle of the battle? She was grievously injured and on the verge of death. Judas did everything he could to save her life, but in the end he failed. I always thought Judas was a sinister man, and that his words were unreliable. Now I know he was full of lies. Lin Feng couldn't help but comment. Judas did pursue me, but I rejected him. The reason he attacked me was because he wanted to force me to reveal the whereabouts of the Fushi 8 trigrams my father left behind. Although I was wounded in that battle, he didn't gain much of an advantage. Of his 3 immortal souls and 7 mortal forms, I destroyed 2 and 5. Now he only has 1 immortal soul and 2 mortal forms left. That's why he's aging so quickly. If it weren't for his cultivation, he'd be dead by now, Goddess Luotian said. Lin Feng was shocked. He never imagined that this was the reason Goddess Luotian went missing all those years ago. He'd been deceived by that old bastard for so many years. Lin Feng had the urge to stomp that bastard to death with his foot. Judas even tried to take over my body, but in the end he failed. Now his life is coming to an end, Lin Feng said. Goddess Luotian's voice was full of hatred. Now that I'm free, I have to find him. We must find him. If we let him die so easily, it would be too easy for him. Lin Feng could understand her feelings at this moment. After being imprisoned for so many years, how could she not hate him? She probably wanted nothing more than to chop Judas to pieces. Even if I want to find Judas and get my revenge, I need to get my body back in order before I can do anything, Lin Feng said. Goddess Luotian nodded. Of course. I won't go looking for Judas rashly. There was a pause. Goddess Luotian continued. How should I address you, sir? This humble one is Lin Feng. Lin Feng cupped his hands in greeting. Lin Feng? Shouldn't your surname be Yuan? If not, shouldn't your surname be Ji? Goddess Luotian asked. Yuan, the surname of the undying family. Ji, the surname of the sovereigns. Obviously, Goddess Luotian could see that Lin Feng had both the undying bloodline and the sovereign bloodline. That was why she wondered why Lin Feng's surname was Lin. Lin Feng said, My father's ancestor broke off relations with the undying family. Because of that, he no longer bears the surname Yuan. I see. Luotian nodded and said, The undying clan has indeed done many outrageous things. Even to their own clansmen, it is the same. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. I've heard that the undying realm was created by the undying family. Is this rumor true? Oh, is there such a rumor? Goddess Luotian was surprised. Actually, if it's true, then the rumor isn't entirely false. Why do you say that? Lin Feng asked. The 3,000 realms are very special. Although it was formed by the heavenly Tao, in reality, when the 3,000 great worlds evolved, many powerful cultivators played an extremely important role. And when the undying realm evolved, the 7 saints of the undying clan played an extremely important role. However, other than the 7 sages of the undying family, there were many other powerhouses who played a key role in the evolution of the undying realm. That's why I say that the undying realm's evolution is related to the undying family, but they weren't the ones who created it. Goddess Luotian said. Lin Feng said, What was the undying realm called in the beginning? The word undying makes it easy to associate it with the undying family. Chapter 3286. I never thought the undying realm would be like this. Lin Feng couldn't help but exclaim. He turned to Luotian and asked, Where is the undying clan's ancestral land? Do you know? Luotian shook her head. I don't know. The undying clan is very mysterious. Back in my time, they were at their peak. The 7 sages of the undying clan were extraordinarily powerful, and it was difficult to find a worthy opponent in the history of our era. They were all ranked. Lin Feng's expression changed. He knew of the 7 sages of the undying clan, but Lin Feng hadn't expected the 7 sages of the undying clan to be this powerful. It seemed he had underestimated the undying clan's power. The undying clan's long history must be filled with countless secrets. He just didn't know if he'd ever have the chance to learn these secrets. Lin Feng had a very strong feeling that maybe he would have such an opportunity, because the undying clan only needed to know of his existence. They wouldn't let him go so easily. What about the sovereign clan? How much do you know about them? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. The sovereign clan is one of the most mysterious clans in this era. Outside information about them is rare. My knowledge of them is limited to the Lord of Gods. At the time, the Lord of Gods was still very young. I've met him several times in the past. Luoshan said. Lin Feng nodded. He wanted to ask Luoshan about the great imperial clan, but she didn't want to tell him anything. Luoshan continued. I overheard your conversation with Judas. Since you wish to inherit the legacy of the holy Emperor Fuxi, then in order to repay you for saving my life, I can now teach you the complete innate 8 trigrams. What? You can teach me the innate 8 trigrams? Lin Feng couldn't help but gasp. When Fuxi created the innate 8 trigrams, it shook the world of cultivators. The appearance of the innate 8 trigrams changed the landscape of the world of cultivators. Because the innate 8 trigrams was one of the earliest great arrays. Moreover, the innate 8 trigrams contained all sorts of mysteries and mysteries. One only needed to comprehend a little, and they would benefit for life. Besides, feng shui, tomb exploration, formations, chimenduanjia, restrictions, divination, astrology, and so on. Countless aspects. All of them could use the connate 8 trigrams. This was because the innate 8 trigrams was all-encompassing. Of course, ordinary cultivators might not have a strong desire for the innate 8 trigrams. However, those spirit array masters, tomb robbers, feng shui masters, and so on, the thirst for the Xiantian 8 trigrams was indescribable. It was as if Lin Feng had to choose between the innate 8 trigrams and a heaven-defying skill. Lin Feng would not hesitate to choose the innate 8 trigrams. Although heaven-defying skills, 6 paths of reincarnation, were rare, they could still be found. However, the inheritance of the Xiantian 8 trigrams was not easy to obtain. If Lin Feng were to cultivate the innate 8 trigrams, his understanding of array formations would definitely rise by several levels. Furthermore, the innate 8 trigrams had another heaven-defying ability, which was its ability to predict the future. Lin Feng had seen monk Ishio and Taoist Wuliang divinate the future. However, no divination technique could compare to the innate 8 trigrams. The success rate of the innate 8 trigrams was extremely high. Of course, whether or not the innate 8 trigrams could be successfully cultivated depended on one's luck. This was also the most difficult part of the innate 8 trigrams to learn. If one could learn it, it would be an incomparably heaven-defying method. Luoshan smiled. It was so beautiful that it was suffocating. Luoshan gently pointed at Lin Feng. Following that, in Lin Feng's mind, immediately, a dense array of words appeared. Those words recorded the complete inheritance of the innate 8 trigrams. Thank you, Luoshan. Lin Feng hurriedly thanked Luoshan. Luoshan taught the innate 8 trigrams to Lin Feng. This made Lin Feng incomparably excited. Karma cycle. So there's no need to thank me. This is what you deserve. And as the most outstanding genius disciple of the human clan, the innate 8 trigrams has fallen into your hands. I believe that in the future, you will definitely be able to bring the innate 8 trigrams to greater heights. It won't be a disgrace to the supreme great Tao that my father created. Luoshan said. Then, Luoshan pointed at Du Zhu, evil sovereign saint, and the 2 great ghost emperors. 9 lives reincarnation poison technique. It's actually this legendary divine ability? Du Zhu immediately exclaimed. Obviously. Just now, Luoshan lightly pointed at Du Zhu, evil sovereign saint, and the 2 great ghost emperors, and each taught them a divine ability. Evil sovereign saint and the 2 great ghost emperors were extremely excited. The divine abilities they received should be very targeted and could help them increase their battle strength. Luoshan said, the divine abilities I taught the 4 of you were chosen according to your own situation. I hope it will be helpful to you. Ha 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 ha, it's really helpful. Thank you, Luoshan. Du Zhu immediately grinned. Evil sovereign saint and the 2 great ghost emperors also thanked Luoshan. Luoshan smiled and said, it's time for us to part. I hope that one day in the future, we can meet again. Luoshan finished speaking. Her body disappeared into thin air. As the daughter of Saint Emperor Fuxi, Luo Shun's cultivation was naturally incomparably terrifying. Everything feels like a dream. After Luo Shun left, Lin Feng couldn't help but say. He actually released Luo Shun. It was really unbelievable. And now, he actually obtained the complete inheritance of the innate 8 trigrams. Lin Feng couldn't wait to cultivate the innate 8 trigrams now. If he cultivated the many wondrous techniques recorded in the innate 8 trigrams, he would be able to play an extremely important role in his future cultivation. A measurable Taoist obtained a part of the innate 8 trigrams cultivation method and kept it hidden from me. This guy definitely wouldn't have thought that I actually obtained the complete innate 8 trigrams. Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter to himself. Now, Lin Feng really wanted to see what kind of expression a measurable Taoist would have when he found out that he had obtained the complete innate 8 trigrams. Let's go too, Lin Feng said. All right, Du Zhu, evil sovereign saint, and the 2 great ghost emperors nodded. Lin Feng's group of 5 also left the stone hall. Then, Lin Feng took out the ancient starship Xinyuan, directly flew towards the starry sky world. The boundless starry sky world was full of unknowns. Lin Feng planned to find more opportunities in the starry sky world to improve his battle strength as much as possible. And he wanted to break through to the great emperor realm as much as possible. With Lin Feng's accumulation, breaking through to the great emperor realm, his battle strength would definitely increase to a shocking level. At that time, even if he entered the dangerous, undying realm. Chapter 3287. Starry Sky World. Vast and boundless. The Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship sailed through the starry sky world. Lin Feng sat cross-legged in the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship and continued to comprehend various grandas. Inside Lin Feng's body, sacred arts condensed into a large array. All the sacred art arrays were like stars, ancient, immortal, sacred, and powerful. The Divine Ability Grand Arrays revolved around one of the Divine Ability Grand Arrays, and the Sacred Art Array in the center was the Tao that Lin Feng created himself. The Tao of Supreme. Between the worlds. I am the Supreme. This was Lin Feng's Tao. The word Supreme meant supreme. Supreme among countless cultivators. How domineering was such a Tao? As the saying goes, a general becomes famous and tens of thousands of bones wither. If Lin Feng's Tao of Supreme was cultivated successfully, he would definitely step on countless bones. Reach the peak. Boom. Violent fluctuations came from the starry sky world. Cultivators broke out in a huge battle. This kind of thing was very common in the starry sky world. The starry sky world was even more cruel, where the strong preyed on the weak. Plus, it was easy to erase the traces of fighting. Therefore, many people were not afraid of other families or forces finding out. Therefore, they did things without any scruples. Lin Feng did not care about the cultivators fighting. The Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship quickly flew past the area of the battle. At the end of the day, the Xinyuan ancient starry sky ship passed by a planet with life. This planet was called Lanzhao Planet. Lanzhao Planet was bustling with people coming and going. This was a gathering place for cultivators in the starry sky world. There were all kinds of cultivators. Descending from the sky, they entered Lanzhao Planet. Some were here to sell their treasures, while others came to Lanzhao Planet to replenish their necessities. Some came to Lanzhao Planet to inquire about information, and so on and so forth. The cultivators who landed on Lanzhao Planet naturally had different goals. Lin Feng and the others had been sailing in the starry sky world for more than 2 months. Therefore, they came to Lanzhao Planet to have a good rest. At the same time, they wanted to inquire about the starry sky world. The realm lord of the 9 mystical great world fell in the 9 continents great world. The 9 mystical great world is now without a leader. It's very chaotic now. Many people are fighting for territory. It's not just internal strife. It's said that many forces have gone to the 9 mysterious world. It's said that the 9 mysterious world's master got an item from the Supreme Divine Court. Now that the 9 mystical realm lord has fallen, countless forces will naturally swarm over to snatch that treasure. What? A treasure from the Supreme Divine Court? What kind of treasure was that? I'm not sure about that. Did you guys hear? The cultivators on another dozen life-bearing planets have all died miserably. Their bodies have been reduced to dried corpses. Their deaths are simply too bizarre and terrifying. I've heard about this too. I wonder who did it. Some people suspect that the gluttonous god demon did it. Culinary god demon? Weren't they already extinct? Why are there more? It's said that some of the gluttonous god demons were imprisoned in the forbidden god world. However, in recent years, there have been many strange movements in the forbidden god world, causing many cracks to appear in the forbidden god world. Many of the creatures imprisoned in the forbidden god world have escaped. Therefore, it's very likely that some gluttonous god demons have also escaped from the forbidden god world. It's said that there are strange movements in the depths of the forbidden god world. Some of the undying existences that were suppressed have recovered some of their vitality and are trying to escape. That's why the forbidden god world has been destroyed. Many forces have joined forces to search for the whereabouts of the gluttonous god demons in the starry sky world. These gluttonous god demons must be eliminated quickly. Otherwise, they will become stronger and stronger. When that time comes, no one will be able to suppress them. All kinds of news spread throughout Lanzhou planet. Lin Feng received two very important pieces of news. The first piece of news was about the 9 mystical great world. The second piece of news was about the gluttonous god demons. Many people were talking about these two pieces of news. Many cultivators' eyes lit up when they talked about the 9 mystical great world. Because of the death of the 9 mystical great world's master, the 9 mystical great world had fallen into turmoil. This was the time when there was profit to be made. As for the news about the gluttonous god demons, everyone was in a state of panic. Many people were extremely worried. After leaving the place where they gathered information, Lin Feng's group of 5 headed to an inn. They rented a courtyard in the inn. They planned to rest for 3 days before setting off. At night, Lin Feng's group of 5 arrived at a famous brothel on Lanzhou planet. This place was called the 100 Music Pavilion. There were many beauties in the 100 Music Pavilion. However, most of them sold their skills and not their bodies. "Young master, this is your first time here. How should I address you?" A beautiful woman greeted Lin Feng with a smile. Lin Feng replied, "My surname is Lin. So it's Lin Gongzi. I wonder what kind of beauties Lin Gongzi is looking for to accompany you." The beautiful woman asked. 30 dancers, singers, and musicians each. Of course, your top beauties will also be in my private room. Lin Feng said indifferently. Then, he flicked his finger. In an instant, a river of origin crystals flew out from the void. A total of 1 million origin crystals. They floated in the air. Immediately, the surrounding cultivators cried out in surprise and screams. The beautiful woman smiled like a flower. She quickly accepted the origin crystals and led Lin Feng to the private room. They drank until late into the night. Lin Feng's group of 5 returned. Lanzhou planet's night was still very lively. People came and went, and it was very lively. The next day, the beautiful woman from yesterday came to visit Lin Feng. She looked to be in her 30s. She had a well-developed figure and a mature and charming temperament. She was quite attractive. Of course, Lin Feng was used to seeing all kinds of beauties, so he was quite restrained in front of this beautiful woman. Asked Lin Feng, "Celestial being, what brings you here today? Fairy?" When the woman heard Lin Feng call her that, she giggled and giggled. She said charmingly, "You really know how to talk, young master." Lin Feng smiled and said, "I've always liked to speak the truth. This big sister is so beautiful and charming. Naturally, you're worthy of being called a fairy." When she heard this, she smiled. The beautiful woman's smile became even wider. Lanzhou planet's nights are cold and long. How many people are in no mood to sleep? This servant would like to invite you to drink with us and pass the long night. How about that? The beautiful woman looked boldly at Lin Feng. Lin Feng sipped a cup of tea and said, "Thank you for the invitation, fairy. I'm willing to accompany you any time." Hee hee hee. The beautiful woman laughed and said, "All right, young master, just wait for this servant's news. This servant has another matter to discuss with you." Chapter 3288. The beautiful woman said, as a gathering place for cultivators in the starry sky world, Lanzhou planet is full of people. Moreover, from time to time, many experts or cultivators with extraordinary identities will descend. Therefore, Lanzhou planet will hold a trade fair every once in a while. After hearing the words trade fair, Lin Feng was immediately interested. Because, at the trade fair, one could often find good things. For example, the Emperor Archaic egg that Lin Feng had obtained previously. It was exchanged from such a high-level small-scale trade fair. Now, the Emperor Archaic had hatched successfully, although it had just hatched not long ago. However, the Emperor Archaic had already displayed an extremely heaven-defying ability. It was precisely because of this that he had obtained many good things at such small-scale trade fairs. Therefore, Lin Feng was extremely interested in such a high-level small-scale trade fair. All these years, Lin Feng had killed many great emperors, especially the final battle between the 9 provinces Great World and the myriad races, the extraterrestrial races, and the cultivator armies of other foreign forces. He had obtained the storage rings of many great emperors. Therefore, Lin Feng had obtained many treasures. He could take advantage of this opportunity to trade with others. Perhaps he could trade for something that he liked. The beautiful woman was very good at reading people's expressions. After seeing Lin Feng's expression, she knew that Lin Feng was very interested in this small-scale trade fair. She smiled and said, "Young master, I heard that this small-scale trade fair is different from the previous ones. This time, it is said that a good item will be taken out. Therefore, it has attracted many experts or cultivators from large factions." "Oh, what good item?" Lin Feng could not help but ask curiously, "Young master, have you heard of the battlefield of the gods?" The beautiful woman asked, "Battlefield of the gods?" Lin Feng could not help but raise his eyebrows slightly and said, "At the beginning of the era, there have been many great battles. Therefore, many places where great battles have occurred can be called the battlefield of the gods." Lin Feng thought of a battlefield of the gods that the Reincarnation Immortal Sutra had told him about. It was a training ground. The beautiful woman said, "How can those places be considered the battlefield of the gods?" "The battlefield of the gods I'm talking about is the main battlefield that took place before the end of the Xiantian era. In that war, Xiantian spirits, otherworldly beings, beings that transcended epochs, and all sorts of other powerhouses participated in it. Countless powerhouses perished. That battle directly led to the end of the Xiantian era. From then on, cultivation declined. For many years after that, the myriad worlds fell into great turmoil. Because too many experts fell, many cultivation methods were lost. Thus, many eras entered a kind of defunct era. There were almost no experts appearing until the Master of Gods rose to power and re-established the cultivation system. From this, it could be seen how tragic that battle was. It was close to burying all the experts at that time. That was the true battle of the gods. Lin Feng asked, "Now that you mention the battlefield of the gods, could it be that the 9 Mysteries World Overlord obtained the mysterious item from the battlefield of the gods?" The beautiful woman nodded. "That's right. That thing was indeed something that came from the battlefield of the gods. Now, that thing was going to be taken out for a trade. There were many rumors about that thing. Some said that it was a powerful magic treasure, some said that it was an ancient inheritance, and some said that it was actually related to the legendary battlefield of the gods. It's the key to enter the battlefield of the gods. Regardless of which theory is correct, one thing is certain, that item's value is unimaginable. If you can obtain it, it'll be of great use to you." Lin Feng asked, "When will the trade fair be held?" "It'll be the night after tomorrow. At that time, I'll send a carriage to pick you up." The beautiful woman said, "Thank you, fairy." Lin Feng cupped his fists. "Hee hee hee." The beautiful woman suddenly laughed charmingly. Her laughter was like a blooming flower. She had a graceful figure. She was charming and alluring. Now that she was laughing, she was even more charming. "I won't disturb you any longer. I'll take my leave first." The beautiful woman said, "Okay, I'll send you off," Lin Feng said, and got up to send the beautiful woman outside. The beautiful woman bit her red lips and said in a low voice, "Young master, please wait patiently. I will soon send someone to bring young master to my residence. We can drink wine and admire the moon. Don't waste the beautiful moonlight." His words were full of meaning. It made Lin Feng's heart heat up. Lin Feng said, "It just so happens that I have some research on musical instruments. When the time comes, I can discuss it with you." The beautiful woman left with a smile. Lin Feng returned to his residence. Lin Feng didn't know that there was a figure hiding in the dark in the distance. A pair of venomous eyes. She stared at his figure with a murderous look in her eyes. "Lin Feng, this starry sky world will be your burial ground." A sinister voice came from the depths of that existence's throat. Lin Feng didn't know that he had been targeted. After returning to his residence, he continued to comprehend the great Tao. As for what the beautiful woman said, Lin Feng didn't take it to heart. It was just a show. This kind of thing. Of course, he wouldn't take it too seriously, nor would he care too much. Success or failure. In Lin Feng's opinion, it didn't matter. When night fell, waves of gloomy and terrifying aura filled the world. Lin Feng and the others were awakened. "Someone is approaching," Du Zhu said. Lin Feng said, "It's not targeting us." They walked out of the courtyard and looked not far away. Black fog rolled. It surrounded a large courtyard a few hundred meters away. "They're really hot on our heels." A cold voice suddenly sounded. It was a woman. Although the voice was cold, one could still hear that the voice was extremely pleasant to the ears. Bang! The next moment, the door of the courtyard directly collapsed, and a woman in white rushed out. The woman in white held a long sword in her hand. She was tall and slender. Her skin was fair. Her face was covered with a veil, so one couldn't see her specific appearance. However, one could roughly judge from her voice and figure that the woman must be a peerless beauty. "Hand over the thing." A cold voice sounded from the black fog. "Humph. If you want the thing, let's see if you have the ability first." The woman in white said coldly, "Since you want to die, we'll fulfill your wish." Boom. After the cold voice sounded from the black fog, then, a power that could destroy the heavens and the earth spread out. Chapter 3289. 10,000 Swords Immortal Slaying Technique. The woman who was submerged in the black fog could not help but shout coldly. Then, endless sword chi surged between heaven and earth. The densely packed sword chi shot out horizontally and vertically. It was very powerful. The woman's cultivation was also very powerful, and she was very good at sword techniques. The sword technique she displayed was an extremely terrifying one. It was very powerful. It was so terrifying that it made one's countenance change. When the sword chi swept out one after another, the sword chi swept out. Clanging sounds could be heard one after another. The mysterious creature in the black fog was making a move to resist the woman's sword technique. Whoosh! The woman turned into a bolt of lightning and quickly rushed outside. In the blink of an eye, she disappeared into the horizon. Her speed was too fast. "Chase, don't let her escape." A gloomy voice came from the black fog. Then, the black fog quickly rushed out. It chased after the woman. What exactly does that woman have? That woman's cultivation is very powerful. Therefore, I think that the thing on her is definitely an extraordinary treasure. Let's go and take a look. Maybe we can fish in troubled waters. The battle just now alarmed many people who came out to watch. Some cultivators said. Greed stirred in their hearts. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Then, many cultivators directly rushed into the sky. They quickly flew into the distance. They were as fast as lightning. Soon, they disappeared without a trace. Is it the Black Fog Race? Du Zhu could not help but say. He thought of the Black Fog Race, a race that transcended eras. This Black Fog Race was actually quite a special race, because, among the races that transcended eras, the Black Fog Race was the race with the most people, and they had many branches. Although the combat power of the Black Fog Race's cultivators was not as good as other cultivators who transcended eras. However, after all, the Black Fog Race had more people. With such a huge base, there was bound to be a top-notch expert. Lin Feng said, it should be the Black Mist Race. Now that the end of the epoch has arrived, the 5 signs of heavenly decay have appeared. These races that have transcended epochs have also appeared. I wonder what these people are plotting. These guys are cunning and cunning. Furthermore, Their methods are extremely powerful. We have to be cautious, the evil dominator saint said. In the evening of the second day, the beautiful woman sent someone to pick up Lin Feng. Du Zhu, the heretic sovereign sage, and the two ghost emperors stayed behind. As for what they would do at night, Lin Feng wouldn't worry about it. The beautiful woman's residence was not in the 100 Music Pavilion. She had a large courtyard in the ancient city of planet Lanzhou. Lin Feng had long felt that the beautiful woman's identity was not simple. Now it seemed that the beautiful woman's identity was just as he had guessed. She was not simple at all. Moreover, Lin Feng didn't think that the beautiful woman invited him because she really wanted to flirt with him. He felt that the beautiful woman had invited him over for another reason. Lin Feng didn't know what the beautiful woman's goal was. Under the guidance of a servant girl, Lin Feng passed through many courtyards and finally arrived at a courtyard in the depths. There were many flowers planted in this courtyard. The fragrance of the flowers permeated the air, and it was very pleasant. The sound of a zither could be heard from the room, and it was very pleasant to the ears. The beautiful woman was truly multi-talented. Lin Gongzi, please come in, the servant girl said respectfully from outside. She had no intention of entering with him. Clearly, she had received instructions from the beautiful woman. Lin Feng nodded and walked into the room. The beautiful woman's room was very elegantly decorated. It was obvious that the beautiful woman was a woman who paid attention to the details of her life. Currently, she was dressed in white, and she was gently playing the zither in front of her. It added an otherworldly aura to her. Lin Feng sat at the side and listened to the zither quietly. When the zither stopped playing, the beautiful woman stood up and asked with a sweet smile, "This song is called the Immortal Song. It's just that this servant's attainments in the zither aren't particularly profound, so I wasn't able to play the beautiful part of this song." Lin Feng smiled and said, "Fairy is too modest. Fairy's achievements in the zither have already reached perfection. In my opinion, even the zither empress of the 100 Music Pavilion is far inferior to you. Young master really knows how to make people happy," said the beautiful woman while smiling. Then, she poured a cup of tea for Lin Feng. Then, the beautiful woman said, "I heard that there was a big battle at young master's residence late last night?" Lin Feng nodded and said, "That's right. It's a group of unknown cultivators who are attacking a white-clothed woman. That white-clothed woman's identity is not simple." The beautiful woman said, "Oh? Her identity is not simple? Fairy knows that white-clothed woman?" Lin Feng asked in surprise. "I don't know her. However, I heard that the white-clothed woman's origins are very mysterious. She appeared several times and seemed to be searching for something. Back then, many experts made a move against her, but they were all killed by her in the end," the beautiful woman said. After hearing the beautiful woman's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but be slightly surprised. He hadn't thought that there would be such a story. That white-clothed woman seemed to have obtained something, so she was surrounded and attacked. Lin Feng said, "That white-clothed woman will appear at tomorrow's trade fair," the beautiful woman said. "Why do you say that?" Lin Feng asked. "That white-clothed woman appeared at the previous trade fairs," the beautiful woman said. "Did she sell or buy anything?" Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. The beautiful woman said, "She sold or bought many things, but she seemed to be hiding it from others. She didn't want others to know what her ultimate goal was." After hearing the beautiful woman's words, Lin Feng became even more curious about the white-clothed woman's identity. "Lin Gongzi, where do you plan to travel through space to?" the beautiful woman asked. Lin Feng said, "The undying world." The beautiful woman said, "The undying world is a long journey, and the starry sky world is constantly changing. Many times, even if you have the ancient starry sky map, you can still lose your way." Lin Feng said, "I hope I can try my luck. What if I can reach the undying world?" The beautiful woman giggled. With Lin Gongzi's means, if he wants to find the undying world, he will definitely be able to find it. This humble woman has heard of Lin Gongzi's great name for a long time. Lin Feng understood the meaning behind the beautiful woman's words. In addition, planet Lanzhou was a planet with life that was relatively close to the Nine States' Great World. Therefore, Lin Feng felt that the beautiful woman probably already knew his identity. Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. Chapter 3290. Cooperation? What kind of cooperation do you want? Lin Feng could not help but look at the beautiful woman with great interest. Of course, it's a good thing. It's a great thing that will benefit you greatly, the beautiful woman said with a smile. Lin Feng did not interrupt and waited for the beautiful woman to continue. The beautiful woman said, I heard that Lin Gongzi is the successor of the Celestial Master sect. A few years ago, our 100 Music Pavilion discovered a mysterious place. That place is densely covered with restrictions. We have tried many times to break the restrictions and enter, but the restrictions are too strong. We have lost many Spirit Array Masters and still have not been able to open the restrictions. However, if Lin Gongzi joins us, we will be like a tiger that has grown wings. We will definitely be able to open the restrictions. Lin Feng raised his eyebrows slightly and said, When did you recognize my identity? In the beginning, I wasn't able to recognize young Master Lin's identity. However, I saw that young Master Lin was generous with his money and knew that he wasn't an ordinary person. Thus, I asked around and found out young Master Lin's identity. The beautiful woman said, It seems that your 100 Music Pavilion's connections are quite big. You can even find out about me. Lin Feng could not help but say. The 100 Music Pavilion was somewhat similar to Jiuzhou's Wanhua building. On the surface, it was a brothel. In fact, it was an extremely powerful force. The beautiful women were just tools used by the 100 Music Pavilion to win over the strong. The beautiful woman said, To tell you the truth, our 100 Music Pavilion is one of the top forces in the starry sky world. On many planets with life, there are branches of our 100 Music Pavilion. Therefore, our 100 Music Pavilion is very well informed. After hearing the beautiful woman's words, Lin Feng was very surprised. He originally thought that the 100 Music Pavilion's sphere of influence was on Lanzhou planet. However, now he knew. He had underestimated the strength of the 100 Music Pavilion. Lin Feng asked calmly, It seems that you have an extraordinary background in the 100 Music Pavilion, right? The beautiful woman said, I don't have an extraordinary identity. However, there is a Deputy Chief Pavilion Master in the 100 Music Pavilion who is my aunt. Lin Feng could not help but roll his eyes. The Vice Chief Pavilion Master of the 100 Music Pavilion was the beautiful woman's aunt. The beautiful woman actually said that she didn't have any extraordinary background. Then what would be considered an extraordinary background? Asked Lin Feng. What kind of place is it? Asked Lin Feng. I heard that place is called the Stone State. The beautiful woman said, The Stone State? What is this place? Lin Feng asked in surprise. He had never heard of the Stone State the beautiful woman spoke of. It's said that back in the day, an extremely terrifying being from the Stone tribe built an ancient kingdom. This kingdom once dominated the starry sky world, and even the 3 paramount realms didn't dare to provoke it. This country is the Stone State. The beautiful woman said. Lin Feng said in shock, There's actually such a powerful country? What happened to the Stone State after that? I'm not sure. However, I heard that one day, a rain of blood fell from the sky, and something strange happened. The Stone State disappeared. Even the life-bearing planet that the Stone State was on disappeared. The beautiful woman said, Oh, there's such a thing? Lin Feng was very surprised. He suddenly recalled the scene when Yuan Beixian had disappeared. At that time, a rain of blood had also fallen. After that, Yuan Beixian disappeared. Yuan Beixian's disappearance was too similar to the Stone State's disappearance. He wondered if there was a connection between the two. Lin Feng felt that a trip to the Stone State was imperative. Perhaps he could explore the Stone State. Perhaps he could find some clues there. The beautiful woman said, The Stone State's disappearance was accurately recorded in the Tao scriptures passed down by many factions. That's why it's so accurate. How did you discover the Stone State? Lin Feng asked curiously. Back then, some things were spread out in the Stone State. One of them was a stone compass. It was obtained by an elder of our 100 Music Pavilion. A few years ago, that elder discovered that the stone compass, which had never been touched, had begun to move. with the help of that stone compass. In the end, he found the stone state's location. Lin Feng asked, "Where is the stone state?" "Somewhere in the Storm Star region," the beautiful woman said. The Storm Star region. It was shrouded in endless storms all year round. That place was extremely dangerous. If a great emperor entered that place and encountered a devastating storm, it was possible for them to die there. Although the Storm Star region was fraught with danger, it was said that there were many ancient battlefields there. Thus, there were many fortuitous encounters there. Despite knowing that it was a place fraught with danger, many people would go there every year in search of fortuitous encounters. Of course, every year, countless people died tragically in the Storm Star field. However, this did not stop the enthusiasm of countless cultivators. Cultivators were born with the spirit of adventure. Otherwise, the saying "fortune comes from danger" wouldn't have spread so widely in the world of cultivators. Not only was the Storm Star region dangerous, but it was also extremely large. The beautiful woman did not tell Lin Feng exactly where the Stone State's ruins were in the Storm Star region. Thus, even if he knew that the Stone State's ruins were in the Storm Star region, without the beautiful woman and the others leading the way, it would be impossible for him to find the Storm Star region. Lin Feng asked, "When do you plan to go?" 7 days later. The beautiful woman said, "No problem." Lin Feng nodded. He then said, "If there are any treasures, I want to pick one first." "Of course. When the time comes, I won't mistreat you," the beautiful woman said with a smile. Lin Feng said with a smile, "We're almost done talking. The night is still young. Shouldn't we do something else now?" The beautiful woman giggled and said, "Lin Gongzi is a gentleman. I know that Lin Gongzi is joking." Lin Feng smiled, then stood up and walked outside. He already knew that the beautiful woman seemed frivolous. In fact, it was just a facade. Deep down, the beautiful woman was a conservative woman. Naturally, she would not do anything out of line. The next day, the beautiful woman sent someone to pick up Lin Feng and bring him to the trade fair. Du Zhu, the evil sovereign sage, and the 2 ghost emperors also went together. The trade fair was located on the 7th floor of the 100 Joy Pavilion. When Lin Feng and the others arrived, there were already dozens of cultivators in the private room. Many of the cultivators had powerful auras. Clearly, their cultivation was extremely powerful. The arrival of Lin Feng's group of 5 attracted a lot of attention. "Lin Gongzi, you're here. Please take a seat." Seeing Lin Feng's arrival, the beautiful woman personally came to welcome Lin Feng. This surprised many people. They did not expect that Lin Feng, a young human cultivator who had not even entered the Great Emperor realm, would receive such treatment. Chapter 3291. Some people were secretly asking the cultivators around them if they knew Lin Feng's background. However, none of the cultivators here knew Lin Feng. Lin Feng was very famous in the 9 prefectures back then. Many people had seen Lin Feng before, including the 10,000 clans and foreign cultivators. Many people had seen Lin Feng. However, those people had already been buried in the fertile land of the 9 prefectures. Only a very small number of them had managed to escape. However, the starry sky world was vast and boundless. The chances of meeting Lin Feng again were too small. "Thank you, fairy." Lin Feng smiled slightly. Then, he sat down with Du Zhu, the evil dominator saint, and the 2 ghost emperors. Cultivators arrived one after another. They were all received by the beautiful woman. The beautiful woman's name was Su Jiaomei. This name was very similar to her temperament. More and more cultivators arrived. These cultivators came from various star fields in the starry sky world. There were many races that Lin Feng had never heard of. Seeing the cultivators arriving one after another, Lin Feng had been looking for a figure. It was the mysterious female cultivator he had seen before. Lin Feng had always been curious about what the mysterious female cultivator had obtained. Why did she attract the attention of the Black Fog race's experts? Although the Black Fog race's cultivators were not as strong as before, this race was still extremely powerful. Any race that could transcend epochs was not to be underestimated. Their strength had reached an unimaginable level. Not long after, a young master arrived, surrounded by a myriad of stars. Young Master Long Yuding. This person is from the Demonic Dragon Clan. Demonic Dragon Clan? The Demonic Dragon Clan from the Demonic Dragon Starfield? That's right. It's that force. Long Yuding cultivated for 240,000 years and broke through to the Emperor realm on his 80,000th birthday. Now that more than 100,000 years have passed, his cultivation must have reached an unfathomable level. In the Demonic Dragon Clan, this person's status is extremely extraordinary. Some of the cultivators in the surroundings began to discuss. Lin Feng was no stranger to the Demon Dragon Star area. Back in Lulan Island, Lin Feng had met Sun Tianwei, Lan Chaoyang, Nangong Qingwan, and Ouying Zixue from the Devil Dragon Star area. These people were the young masters and young ladies of the influential families in the Demon Dragon Star area. The forces behind them were extremely powerful. However, the forces behind them couldn't be compared to the Demon Dragon Clan in the Demon Dragon Star area. The Demon Dragon Clan was a giant force in the Demon Dragon Star area. It was somewhat similar to the status of the Supreme Immortal Sect in the Nine Regions Great World. It was fully deserving of the title of the strongest force. From the fact that the star field was named after the Demon Dragon Clan, one could see the extraordinary status of the Demon Dragon Clan in the Demon Dragon Star field. Many people came forward to greet Long Yuding. Long Yuding, on the other hand, nodded indifferently at those people. Even though Long Yuding's expression was cold and indifferent. However, this did not extinguish the fire in the hearts of many cultivators. If he could befriend someone like Long Yuding, naturally, it would be of great help in the future. Of course, not everyone went to curry favor with Long Yuding. Many people still looked like they were watching a show. At this trade fair, there were crouching tigers and hidden dragons. Not long after Long Yuding arrived, another group of people came. The one in the lead was still a cultivator who looked like a young master. This cultivator had a huge scar on his face. That scar, it was as sinister and terrifying as a centipede. Xied Wanhuan, the fifth young master of the demon bandits. After seeing the person who came, many cultivators frowned slightly. This cultivator called Xied Wanhuan had an extremely terrifying background. His father was the leader of the demon bandits. And the Demon Bandits was a famous bandit group in the Starry Sky world. In the Starry Sky world, there were countless bandit groups like grains of sand in the Milky Way. However, the Demon Bandits was ranked 17th among the top 100 bandit groups. This bandit group not only had a large number of people, the most important thing was that this bandit group had many experts. It was said that there were dozens of great Emperor-level experts. The leader of the Demon Bandits was a peak Imperial Emperor. However, there was also news that the leader of the Demon Bandits was an expert that surpassed the Imperial Emperor level. Of course, as for what realm he was at, perhaps only the people of the Demon Bandits knew. What? Are you not going to welcome me? The corner of Xied Wanhuan's mouth curled up into a sinister expression. Many people's expressions were gloomy as they ignored Xied Wanhuan, because many of the cultivators present had their relatives, friends, or fellow sect members robbed by the Demon Bandits. These cultivators naturally did not have a good impression of the Demon Bandits. How can we not welcome young Master Xie? For young Master Xie to be able to participate in this trade fair, I represent the 100 Music Pavilion to express our most sincere welcome. The beautiful woman said with a smile. Fairy Sue's words are still pleasant to hear. Xied Wanhuan's eyes fiercely scraped towards the beautiful woman's enchanting body. The beautiful woman smiled and said, Young Master Xie, please take a seat. It won't be long before the trade fair begins. Xied Wanhuan nodded and found a place to sit down. After Xied Wanhuan arrived, a few more experts from the top forces came one after another. All of them were like stars surrounding the moon. It seemed that this trade fair had indeed attracted a large number of cultivators. In addition to the attraction of the trade fair itself, many people were probably attracted by the mysterious item that was circulating in the battlefield of gods. That item, it was absolutely extraordinary. It was a rare treasure. Not long after, a woman arrived. Her clothes were as white as snow. Her face was covered with a veil. When the woman arrived, everyone's gaze was attracted to her. That woman seemed to have a very special temperament. To be able to become the focus of everyone. It's her. After seeing that woman, Lin Feng's eyes could not help but light up slightly. It was the woman he had been waiting for. The woman who was besieged by the Black Fog race cultivators. Her identity was very mysterious. Even the beautiful woman did not know her identity. This woman seemed to have appeared out of thin air. This aroused Lin Feng's curiosity. After this woman arrived, many people came one after another. There were also many experts. The standard of this trade fair was relatively high. Either they had an extraordinary background or were powerful, or they had a relationship with the upper echelons of the 100 Music Pavilion to be able to participate in this trade fair. It seems that I'm not too late. At this moment, a sinister voice came from outside the private room. Then, more than 20 people rushed into the private room. This group of people included both men and women, all of whom had extraordinary strength. This group of cultivators was led by a thin cultivator. The thin cultivator took the lead and entered the private room. People from the Sun Moon tribe. Chapter 3292. The Sun Moon tribe was definitely one of the strongest forces in the Starry Sky world. The Sun Moon tribe was a powerful force that had been passed down from the innate realm. Hence, they were extremely terrifying. The talents of this force were also extremely strong. The Sun Moon bloodline was one of the strongest bloodlines in history. In many great eras, many experts had appeared in the Sun Moon tribe. Even now, the Sun Moon tribe had the strongest experts, and no one dared to underestimate the strength of the Sun Moon tribe. Whoever dared to underestimate the Sun Moon tribe, they were courting death. It's young Master Een. Welcome, young Master Een, to the trade fair organized by the 100 Music Pavilion. Seeing the Sun Moon tribe cultivator, the beautiful lady smiled. Obviously, the beautiful lady knew this Sun Moon tribe cultivator. This Sun Moon tribe cultivator is called Een Xian Kuren. He is a direct descendant of the Sun Moon tribe. The Sun Moon tribe is rather mysterious, so no one knows which Sun Moon tribe cultivator's ancestor is. Someone said. The Sun Moon tribe was a powerful force. Naturally, there was more than one bloodline. The Sun Moon tribe was divided into 7 main bloodlines. The direct descendants of the 7 main bloodlines were all direct descendants of the Sun Moon tribe. It has been a few hundred years since I last saw you. You are still as elegant as ever. Een Xian Kuan said with a smile. Ha ha ha, thank you for your compliment. Please take a seat. The beautiful lady said with a smile. Een Xian Kuan nodded and was about to find a place to sit. He saw Lin Feng sitting in the room. Then, he said sarcastically, why? Is there a human cultivator participating in such a high-class gathering? A lowly race like you doesn't have the right to participate in such a high-class gathering. After hearing Een Xian Kuan's words, many people's spirits were lifted. Obviously, the target of Een Xian Kuan's sarcasm was Lin Feng. Because there was only one human cultivator in the room, Lin Feng. Previously, many people had seen how the beautiful lady was very friendly towards Lin Feng. These cultivators knew that although Lin Feng was a human cultivator, however, he probably had an extraordinary background as well. Although the human race was weak now, however, this did not mean that there were no powerful human forces. Lin Feng said faintly, you keep saying that other people's races are lowly races, but what about your own race? Don't be too full of yourself. You're just a frog in a well. Are you refuting me? Do you have the right to refute? Een Xian Kuan laughed coldly as he looked at Lin Feng. The human race was indeed strong in the past, but now, the human race's bloodline was no longer strong, so the human race's power was on the decline. So what if they were strong in the past? If their bloodline deteriorates, they will become a lowly race, destined to become a stepping stone for others on the path of cultivation. Aren't you afraid of biting your tongue if you speak so confidently? I can vaguely feel that your Sun Moon bloodline is not particularly strong. My guess is that although you are a direct descendant of the Sun Moon tribe, you are probably one of the weakest direct descendant disciples. With so few people awakening their great Een bloodline, they shouldn't be valued by the clan, right? Lin Feng said sarcastically. What are you trying to say? Een Xian Kuan's face grew colder and colder. Lin Feng's guess was right. Although Een Xian Kuan was a member of the Sun Moon tribe, because of his bloodline, he was not valued by the Sun Moon tribe. I'm guessing that you must have been discriminated against in the Sun Moon tribe since you were young. You are a big clan and the fighting is fierce. What kinship is there to speak of? Furthermore, I'm guessing that you must have been bullied by many clan members since you were young, right? Are there a lot of people who call you trash? It is precisely because of the humiliation that you have suffered since you were young that your personality was twisted. You were not valued in the Sun Moon tribe and thus, you ran outside to use the Sun Moon tribe's reputation to intimidate others. However, what can you do even if you flaunt your strength? Trash will always be trash. When you return to the Sun Moon tribe, you will still be that trash who is not valued by the clan. Lin Feng's lips curled into a cold smile. His words could be said to strike at the heart with every word. Lin Feng felt that his guess was not far from the truth. It was easy to predict the fights between big clans. You are digging your own grave. In Xian Kuan clenched his fists tightly as a murderous glint flashed across his eyes. You still don't want to admit that you are trash? Now that you are so angry, it proves that my guess is correct. You don't have to hide your identity anymore. Trash of the Sun Moon tribe. Lin Feng curled his lips as he spoke. Many cultivators in the room twitched their mouths. Lin Feng's words were like a knife that stabbed into In Xian Kuan's heart. One knife after another stabbed into In Xian Kuan's body. Looking at In Xian Kuan's face, one could tell how angry he was. Many people were shocked. They had not expected Lin Feng to offend In Xian Kuan. In Xian Kuan was a member of the Sun Moon tribe. As the saying goes, one has to look at the owner before beating a dog. Furthermore, In Xian Kuan was a direct descendant of the Sun Moon tribe. Although In Xian Kuan was not valued in the clan, that was only in comparison. Compared to the top geniuses among the direct descendants, In Xian Kuan was naturally not valued. However, compared to many of the branch descendants, In Xian Kuan was still valued. After all, his status was still there. Moreover, In Xian Kuan represented the Sun Moon tribe outside. Offending In Xian Kuan. It was no different from offending the Sun Moon tribe. However, Lin Feng had offended In Xian Kuan. After mocking In Xian Kuan, the hatred between the two sides was completely formed. Brat, you have thoroughly angered me. Have you thought about how you want to die? In Xian Kuan waved his hand, and a group of people immediately surrounded Lin Feng. They wanted to surround and attack Lin Feng. If I said you were trash, you're trash. If I were you, I would have done it myself after being humiliated like this. Only trash like you would let others do it for you. However, the people around you are also trash. I can't be bothered to do it myself. Now, I will give you trash a chance. Kneel on the ground and slap yourselves 10 times each. Then get out. Otherwise, it will not be easy for you to leave in one piece. Lin Feng said calmly. His words could be said to be extremely arrogant. One had to know. In Xian Kuan had 3 great emperors on his side. As for the others, they were all quasi-emperors. With so many experts working together, their combat strength was terrifying. Lin Feng did not take In Xian Kuan and the rest seriously. He was extremely arrogant. You are courting death. How dare you be so arrogant in front of me? You are seeking your own death. Attack. Cripple this brat for me. This young master will torture him later. Chapter 3293. Don't worry, young Master Yin. We will capture this brat and let young Master Yin vent your anger. One of the great emperors said. This great emperor was a cultivator that In Xian Kuan had met outside. Now that chaos had arrived. Battles raged everywhere. Even great emperors could fall here. As such, these great emperor-level experts also wanted to befriend some of the major forces. With the protection of the major forces, things were different. For example, the demon bandits had dozens of great emperors. These dozens of great emperors seemed to be a lot. However, one had to know. The boundless starry sky world was boundlessly huge. The 9 continents world was just a drop in the ocean in the starry sky world. As such, in such a vast starry sky world, it was normal for there to be many great emperors. The 17th ranked bandit group in the starry sky world only had dozens of great emperors. Compared to the vast starry sky world, such a high-ranked bandit group only had dozens of great emperors. In fact, there were not many of them. Why did these great emperors join the bandit group? There were two main reasons. The first reason, the bandit group constantly robbed the cultivators of their treasures. They would even attack many life planets and steal all kinds of treasures. After joining the bandit group, it was easy to obtain many treasures. The second reason, chaos had arrived. Even these great emperors needed to form alliances. Only then could they live longer. Of course, there were also many who liked to join the top forces. A great emperor-level expert, no matter which top-notch force they joined, would never be defeated. They would be treated well. However, some great emperors did not like to be restricted. Hence, they were not willing to take this path. Those great emperors who did not want to be restricted often joined the bandit groups in the Starry Sky world. There were also some great emperors who formed alliances and helped each other. Hence, there were many different kinds of organizations in the Starry Sky world. These organizations were formed by the great emperors who did not want to be restricted and did not want to be bandits. The three great emperors who followed Yin Kuan had joined the Sun Moon tribe through Yin Kuan. Hence, these three great emperors were very obedient to Yin Kuan. Moreover, following Yin Kuan, the three great emperors had gained many benefits. Facing the siege of so many powerhouses, Lin Feng's expression was indifferent. He didn't even move. Du Zhu, the evil dominator sage, and the two ghost emperors were present. There was no need for Lin Feng to do anything. Reckless fool. You even dare to offend our young master. Are you all blind? Du Zhu sneered. He quickly rushed out. The great emperors of the 9 prefectures were much stronger than the great emperors of other worlds. Furthermore, the 3 great emperors around Yin Kuan were only in the God Emperor realm. Naturally, it was impossible for them to contend against Du Zhu and the others. Even with the addition of a group of quasi-emperor-level cultivators, they were far from being able to contend against Du Zhu and the others. Boom! A terrifying aura spread out. Du Zhu and the other 3 stopped concealing their cultivation levels and directly released their powerful auras. Great Emperor. For great emperors, many people couldn't help but exclaim. Some great emperors with high cultivation levels might be able to sense the cultivation levels of Du Zhu and the others. However, ordinary great emperors and some quasi-emperor level cultivators couldn't sense the cultivation levels of Du Zhu and the others. Therefore, when Du Zhu and the others released their great emperor's auras, many people were shocked. Bang, 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 kacha, kacha. This was accompanied by a series of dull sounds of collision and the sound of bones cracking. One cultivator after another was sent flying by Du Zhu and the others. These cultivators couldn't even withstand a single blow from Du Zhu, the evil dominator sage, and the 2 ghost emperors. Even the 3 great emperors couldn't withstand the attacks of Du Zhu and the others. One by one, they were beaten until they vomited blood and were thrown out. Those 4 great emperors are the followers of that human brat. That human brat actually brought 4 such powerful great emperors with him. Who exactly is he? Many cultivators looked at Lin Feng with puzzled expressions. They increasingly felt that Lin Feng might have a great background. Or else, how could he have 4 great emperors by his side as his followers? I've never heard of such a person before. Although the top factions of the human race do have them, they're too rare to be seen often. He's full of mystery. That's why that young master's identity is even more confusing. Another cultivator said. He was still trying to guess Lin Feng's identity, but he had no clue. Some people whispered to the beautiful woman. However, the beautiful woman only smiled and didn't tell them Lin Feng's identity. Without Lin Feng's permission, the beautiful woman wouldn't reveal Lin Feng's identity. Du Zhu and the others surrounded Yin Kuan. Yin Kuan's expression was extremely gloomy. Yin Kuan's cultivation level was the same as Lin Feng's. They were both at the 99th level of the quasi-emperor realm. Although they were at the same level, Yin Kuan's strength was far inferior to Lin Feng's. Lin Feng had reached his current level by stepping on the bones of the dead. Yin Kuan, on the other hand, had accumulated all sorts of cultivation resources. His own fighting strength. Naturally, he couldn't compare to Lin Feng. Let me tell you, if you dare to touch me, the Sun Moon tribe will not let you off. Yin Kuan said darkly. He had specifically mentioned the Sun Moon tribe. He wanted Lin Feng and the others to be wary of the Sun Moon tribe. The Sun Moon tribe was indeed powerful, but Lin Feng didn't care. The starry sky was vast and boundless. It wouldn't be easy for the Sun Moon tribe to deal with him. Poison Ancestor slapped In Xian Kuan and scolded loudly, "Brat! So what if you're from the Sun Moon tribe? Do you think we're afraid of you? You dare to hit me?" In Xian Kuan looked at Du Zhu in disbelief. "Don't waste your breath on him. Break his limbs and throw him out," Lin Feng said calmly. Many people sucked in a breath of cold air. Everyone had a better understanding of Lin Feng's character. He was truly a fearless person. Breaking In Xian Kuan's limbs would offend the Sun Moon tribe. However, Lin Feng wasn't afraid at all. Did he not care about the threat of the Sun Moon tribe at all? "You dare?" In Xian Kuan shouted in fear. In the next instant, Du Zhu slapped In Xian Kuan. In Xian Kuan quickly reacted and exchanged blows with Du Zhu. However, he wasn't a match for Du Zhu. His arm was instantly broken by Du Zhu. In Xian Kuan was sent flying. Du Zhu rushed forward and broke In Xian Kuan's limbs. Chapter 3294. A direct descendant of the Sun Moon tribe was beaten half to death and thrown out of the 100 Joy Pavilion. Many people were shocked by what they saw. As for In Xian Kuan's followers, they scrambled to get out of the room. They did not dare to stay in the pavilion for another minute. Almost everyone is here. We can start the trade fair now," the beautiful lady said. Everyone was shocked when they heard that the trade fair was about to begin. Someone said impatiently, "Fairy, is it time to take out the item that was passed down from the battlefield of the gods? Let us broaden our horizons." The beautiful lady said, "Don't be impatient. The senior who has the treasure has not appeared yet. Let's wait for the trade fair to continue. When the senior appears, he will take out the treasure to trade with everyone." Everyone nodded when they heard this. Such a high-class trade fair was basically a barter trade fair. Therefore, it was important to prepare many top-grade treasures to participate in such a trade fair. Or else, it was very likely that they would not obtain anything from such a high-class trade fair. Such examples were quite common. Boom! A terrifying aura spread out. It turned out that a cultivator had taken out a treasure, and the terrifying aura was emitted from that treasure. The treasure was a jade white lion. That jade white lion actually had 12 pairs of wings. No one knew what kind of creature it was. Once the jade white lion is activated, it can turn into a living creature of flesh and blood. The owner of the jade white lion was a burly old man called Old Man Yun. He was a famous rogue cultivator in the starry sky world. His strength was unfathomable. As soon as Old Man Yun finished speaking, he pointed at the jade white lion. Roar! A deep roar was suddenly heard. The jade white lion turned into a lion of flesh and blood. Its body was covered in green fur, and it looked ferocious. The 12 pairs of wings spread out and extended more than 10 meters. Many people were amazed that the jade white lion could turn into a living creature of its own accord. This was simply too inconceivable. Other than turning into a living creature, what other uses does the jade white lion have? A cultivator asked. He was very interested in the jade white lion. The jade white lion was indeed extraordinary. This aroused the interest of many people. Taoist Yun said, "Once the jade white lion is refined, it will become one with its master's mind and will be able to unleash 70% of its master's power, which is like refining a powerful clone. Plus, the jade white lion can travel through space. If you run into a powerful enemy, you can use its power to travel through space and get rid of your enemy." What a good white jade lion. This jade white lion, what would you like to exchange for? An old man asked. Many people looked at Old Man Dao Yun. The jade white lion was truly heaven-defying. Almost everyone present was moved. Even Lin Feng was tempted. If he could blood bond with the jade white lion, it would be like adding wings to a tiger. Exchange for a piece of chaos metal. Old Man Dao Yun said. Chaos metal? Many people shook their heads when they heard this. Lin Feng had heard of chaos iron before, but he had never seen it before. Rumor had it that the chaos iron was an immortal iron that was born before the heavens and earth were created. This was the earliest immortal iron that was born between heaven and earth. It was even more valuable than chaos gems. It was too rare. Even in the absolute beginning era, let alone now. It wasn't easy to find chaos iron. Rumor had it, if a thumb-sized piece of chaos iron was fused into a magic treasure, there was hope that the magic treasure would transform into an immortal artifact. Of course, Lin Feng didn't know if the rumor was true. That was because he had never seen chaos iron before. His understanding of chaos iron was limited. He had only seen or heard about it in legends. Of course, the heavens and earth were vast. Anything could happen. There might even be chaos iron in this world. Can I exchange for it with something else? Someone asked. They couldn't take out chaos iron. They wanted to exchange for it with Old Man Dao Yun. But Old Man Dao Yun shook his head and said, I only want chaos iron. The surroundings fell silent. Many people wanted to exchange for it, but they couldn't take out a supreme treasure like chaos iron. Naturally, they couldn't exchange for it with Old Man Dao Yun. I have chaos iron, a voice said. Everyone looked over. Lin Feng was shocked. It was the white-clothed woman who had been surrounded by the Black Mist tribe. She was very mysterious. He had heard from the beautiful woman that this white-clothed woman had appeared in the previous trade fairs, and she would buy or sell a lot of things every time. Now, this white-clothed woman could actually take out chaos iron. It was really shocking. Old Man Dao Yun's eyes lit up. The white-clothed woman took out a small piece of milky white immortal iron. The immortal iron was very small. It was about the size of a peanut. That's right. It's chaos iron. I'll exchange it with you. Old Man Dao Yun was extremely excited. Lin Feng guessed that Old Man Dao Yun wanted to upgrade his magic treasure. That was why he was so eager to find a supreme treasure like chaos iron. After completing the exchange, both sides sat down. Next, one by one, cultivators took out the treasures they had prepared in advance to trade. Because it was a barter, so the success rate wasn't very high. Lin Feng had been watching from the side. That was because very few of the treasures that appeared could pique his interest, so Lin Feng didn't make a move. About 4 hours later, Lin Feng took out some of the treasures he had prepared. The first treasure that Lin Feng took out was a semi-finished emperor weapon called the Heaven's Thunderblade. A semi-finished emperor weapon was different from a boundary emperor weapon. A boundary emperor weapon was already formed. It was more difficult to evolve into an emperor weapon. A semi-finished emperor weapon had yet to be formed. So, as long as he found a suitable sacrificial method, it would be very easy to evolve into a real emperor weapon. The second treasure that Lin Feng took out was an Earth Dragon Immortal Pill. It was an immortal pill. Although it was the most ordinary immortal pill, its value was immeasurable. It could improve a cultivator's physique and gradually develop the physique of the dragon race. One had to know that the dragon race's physique was extremely terrifying. It was one of the strongest physiques among the various races. It would be very heaven-defying. The third treasure that Lin Feng took out was the most precious. It was a piece of purple devil immortal iron. It was said that treasures made from purple devil immortal iron could eventually reach the level of a quasi-immortal artifact. Many people were shocked to see the 3 treasures that Lin Feng took out. Chapter 3295. After Lin Feng took out the 3 treasures, they immediately attracted the attention of many people. Lin Feng introduced, "These are my 3 treasures." The first treasure is a semi-finished emperor weapon made from 9 Heavens Thunder Iron. This semi-finished emperor weapon is very close to becoming an emperor weapon. For cultivators who cultivate thunder attribute cultivation methods, this is definitely a divine ability that they can only dream of. After Lin Feng finished speaking, the eyes of several cultivators who cultivated thunder attribute law suddenly lit up. Such a treasure was indeed very attractive to them. Lin Feng continued to introduce the second treasure. The second item is an elixir called the Earth Dragon Celestial Elixir. This is an immortal elixir. The Earth Dragon Celestial Elixir is made from the immortal herb, dragon blood grass, and thousands of spiritual herbs. Moreover, it is infused with Earth Dragon blood essence. Its value is unimaginable. As everyone knows, the Dragon Clan's physical body is very strong. After consuming the Earth Dragon Celestial Elixir, one's physical body can be tempered to the same level as the Dragon Clan's physical body. The Earth Dragon's celestial elixir attracted even more people's attention. Many people could not help but breathe heavily. If one's physical body could become as strong as the dragon clan's, it would definitely be a great improvement. It would have a great effect on one's cultivation. Lin Feng continued to introduce the third treasure. The third treasure is a piece of purple demon immortal iron. I'm sure everyone has heard of this immortal iron. This magic treasure made from immortal iron can become a quasi-immortal artifact in the future. Its power is really unimaginable. Many people could not help but exclaim. The three items that Lin Feng took out to exchange were all priceless. What do you want to exchange for? An old man could not wait to ask. This was a great emperor-level expert. His aura was extremely powerful and his cultivation could be described as unfathomable. Lin Feng said, I want to exchange the Heaven Thunderblade for 100 materials to cultivate immemorial ancestral insects, 100 materials to cultivate Emperor Archaic, and 100 materials to cultivate primitive demon refining insects. These materials are too precious. Moreover, he actually wants so much. Isn't he asking for too much? Someone said coldly. Lin Feng said faintly, It's my freedom to choose what price I want. It's your freedom to trade with me. No one is forcing you to buy. You. The expression of the cultivator who was ridiculed by Lin Feng suddenly sank. He looked at Lin Feng coldly. Primordial ancestral insect. Emperor Archaic. Primitive demon refining insect. These were all legendary divine and demonic insects, especially creatures like the Emperor Archaic. It was rumored that with a gentle flap of their wings, they could instantly annihilate everything within 100,000 miles. These creatures only appeared briefly in the primordial era, but they caused a huge commotion. You want to exchange for materials to nurture an Emperor Archaic? Do you have an Emperor Archaic on you? Asked Long Yutong, looking at Lin Feng. Everyone looked at Lin Feng. Like Long Yuding, they all suspected that Lin Feng might have an Emperor Archaic on him. Or else, Lin Feng had no need to exchange for materials to nurture an Emperor Archaic. Lin Feng nodded. That's right. I have an Emperor Archaic butterfly cub on me. When Lin Feng said that, many people in the private room gasped in astonishment. How about this? I have a wolf cub that was born from a blood demon wolf. Blood demon wolves are a terrifying race that can compete with dragons. I'll use this cub to exchange for your Emperor Archaic egg. Once we're done, we'll be friends. If you run into any problems in the Starry Sky realm that you can't solve, you can look for me. Long Yuding said in an unquestionable tone. This kind of high and mighty attitude made Lin Feng raise his eyebrows slightly. He said indifferently, I'm not interested in making this deal with you. Kid, are you trying to be shameless when I'm giving you face? You should feel lucky that young Master Tang is willing to make a deal with you. Don't fail to appreciate his kindness. An Emperor Realm expert beside Long Yuding said coldly. That Emperor Realm expert was actually an immortal Emperor Realm expert. Such an expert could be considered an expert in the Starry Sky realm. Moreover, that cultivator was a fifth-layer immortal Emperor Realm expert. Therefore, even though Lin Feng had Du Zhu, Evil Sovereign Saint, 2 Ghost Emperors, and 4 Great Emperors, but this immortal Emperor Realm cultivator didn't care at all. Du Zhu and the other 3 were nothing in his eyes. Long Yuding didn't say anything. Instead, he looked at all of this indifferently. He was born noble, and no one had ever dared to resist him. But now, Lin Feng actually dared to resist him. This made Long Yuding want to kill him. A dog dares to make a fuss here? Look after your own dog. Otherwise, who knows what will happen to this dog in the end? Lin Feng said indifferently, You dare to humiliate me like this? Kid, you're courting death. The immortal Emperor Realm cultivator's face suddenly turned gloomy. Boom. A terrifying aura was emitted from his body. This immortal Emperor Realm cultivator. It seemed like he wanted to kill Lin Feng. Seeing that this immortal Emperor Realm cultivator was about to make a move, the beautiful woman hurriedly said, Fellow Daoist son, this is the trade fair held by the 100 Music Pavilion. Private fights are absolutely not allowed. Fellow Daoist son, please restrain yourself. Otherwise, we can only ask fellow Daoist son to leave. The beautiful woman stepped forward to protect Lin Feng. Naturally, It wasn't because she was concerned about Lin Feng's safety. It was mainly because the 100 Music Pavilion could use Lin Feng. Therefore, at this stage, Lin Feng couldn't be harmed. As for after using Lin Feng, whatever happened to Lin Feng had nothing to do with the 100 Music Pavilion. This immortal Emperor Realm expert was called Sun Yongtao. After hearing the beautiful woman's words, his face couldn't help but turn slightly ugly. Previously, the 4 great emperors on Lin Feng's side had beaten the group of people from the Sun Moon tribe half to death. The beautiful woman didn't appear. Now, she stepped forward to stop him. Obviously, she was biased towards Lin Feng. However, Sun Yongtao had to give the beautiful woman face. Although Sun Yongtao was now under the Demon Dragon clan, he still didn't dare to casually offend the powerful 100 Music Pavilion. Kid, you can only hide behind a woman and seek protection. However, I don't believe that the 100 Music Pavilion will always protect you. When the time comes, I'll take action. At that time, I'm looking forward to seeing you kneel in front of me like a dog and beg me to spare your life. Chapter 3296. Lin Feng looked at Sun Yongtao indifferently and said, I think you should be glad, because if you really attacked, you'd be a dead man now. After hearing Lin Feng's words, Sun Yongtao still wanted to say something, but at this time, Long Yuding said, Brother Sun, there's no need to talk to this kid. There's no need to talk so much nonsense with a lowly cultivator who's going to die soon. That's right. The human race's bloodline has collapsed. Back then, they were just livestock raised by countless races. It's just that these livestock would sometimes recklessly jump around outside, so we'll just slaughter them, Sun Yongtao said. Lin Feng's expression was indifferent, and he didn't continue to pay attention to these two. If they really fought, Lin Feng was confident that he could kill these two. So what if they were from the Demon Dragon race? He would still kill them, because Lin Feng's cultivation was that of a supreme cultivator. The supreme great Tao swept through everything in its path, sweeping everything before it. He would kill gods if they blocked him. He would kill them if they blocked him. If no one wants it, then the deal is over. Lin Feng said, I want the Heaven Thunderblade, but young master needs to wait for a while. I've already ordered people to gather the things young master wants as soon as possible. When the things arrive, we can immediately make the deal with young master. At this time, a female cultivator said. This female cultivator was dressed in purple and had a tall and alluring figure. She looked to be in her 20s. However, a cultivator's age couldn't be judged purely from their appearance. This female cultivator was definitely not just in her 20s. Because cultivators had a long lifespan, their appearance aged very slowly. Many female cultivators had taken face-retaining pills or cultivated face-retaining techniques. This made them even more youthful and alluring. It's lazy. Rumor has it that this woman is related to the primordial thunder god, someone said. Lin Feng was slightly shocked. The primordial thunder god was a terrifying existence. His cultivation could be described as heaven-defying. The primordial thunder god's inheritance was extremely powerful. Back then, Lin Feng had obtained part of the primordial thunder god's inheritance. In the past, when the primordial dragon-esque elephant dominated the starry sky world, the primordial thunder god was one of the few existences that could contend with the dragon-esque elephant. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Lei Zi was related to the ancient thunder god. Was she a descendant of the ancient thunder god? Perhaps. There really was such a possibility. Thinking of this, Lin Feng couldn't help but take a deep breath. He said, All right, I'll wait for a while. Lei Zi nodded and did not say anything else. Lin Feng continued, Everyone knows the value of the second treasure, the Earth Dragon Celestial Pill. I want to exchange this treasure for 20 types of 3,000 Great Das. Any one of the 3,000 Great Das can create a powerful sect. This is an unparalleled inheritance. Although the value of the Earth Dragon Immortal Pill is very high, it is too much to ask for 20 of the 3,000 Great Das. A cultivator said coldly. This cultivator wanted to trade with Lin Feng, but felt that Lin Feng's price was too high. That was why he said those words, and there were quite a few cultivators who said those words. Lin Feng said faintly, being expensive naturally has its benefits. No matter how precious the 3,000 great Daos are, it's not as important as improving your physical body. If you improve your physical body, you will find that many times, especially in some life and death battles, a powerful physical body can help you survive until the end. I'll trade with you. A cultivator with a muscular body said, Wu Zhongshi. He's an expert from the Wu family, one of the 5 great body refinement families in the starry sky. Someone recognized that cultivator and couldn't help but exclaim. In the starry sky world, there were many body refinement families. Those body refinement families paid great attention to the cultivation of the physical body. Physical body cultivation. It was very painful. It was simply the greatest torture. But if one could achieve success in physical body cultivation, it would be extremely heaven-defying. Just like Lin Feng, he cultivated the immemorial dragonesque elephant art, and his physical body surpassed that of a fiend god. In every battle, Lin Feng's powerful physical body played an extremely crucial role. So, cultivators couldn't just cultivate magic power. They also had to cultivate their physical body. It was just that cultivating the physical body was too difficult and painful. So many people couldn't persevere. This required painstaking cultivation from a young age. If one started cultivating the physical body halfway through, the effect would obviously not reach the desired effect. But those body refinement families were not like this. Those body refinement families, they began to nurture their disciples from a young age and began to cultivate their physical body. Therefore, their physical bodies were very powerful. This cultivator called Wu Zhongshi in front of him had an extremely powerful physical body. He took out a jade tube and imprinted the divine ability on it. Lin Feng sensed for a moment and found that he had never cultivated these divine abilities that Wu Zhongshi had imprinted. Lin Feng couldn't help but smile. The Earth Dragon Immortal Pill belongs to you. Lin Feng handed the Earth Dragon Immortal Pill to Wu Zhongshi. Wu Zhongshi smiled and said, Ha ha ha, thank you, little brother. Old Wu, I need a powerful immortal pill to help me break through the shackles. Now, I finally see the hope of advancing my physical body. Then I wish Brother Wu's physical body a breakthrough. Lin Feng smiled and cupped his fists. Then, Lin Feng continued, the third treasure. This is a material for forging a quasi-immortal artifact. Such a material can only be encountered by chance. So, everyone, seize this opportunity. If you miss it, it won't be easy to encounter such an opportunity again. This piece of purple demon immortal iron. It requires 40 types of 3,000 great Dao to exchange. Many people looked at each other. 40 types of 3,000 great Dao was not a small number. Moreover, although some of the cultivators present cultivated many of the 3,000 great Dao, they all had powerful forces behind them. These 3,000 great Dao were not things that they could take out to exchange with Lin Feng. They could not exchange with Lin Feng just because they wanted to. If they took it out casually, they would be punished by the forces behind them. Therefore, some cultivators who wanted to exchange with Lin Feng could only sigh at this moment. Unless they obtained the 3,000 great Dao by chance, it had nothing to do with the forces behind them. These 3,000 great Dao could be exchanged. I'll exchange with you. An old man said, Sky Moon Elder. After seeing the old man who spoke, many people couldn't help but be shocked. Sky Moon Elder, one of the top itinerant cultivators in the starry sky world. It was said that Sky Moon Elder had lived for 20 million years, and 17 million years ago, he had already broken through to the Emperor realm. What was his cultivation level now? No one knew. He was definitely an ancient existence. Swoosh! A light flashed in Sky Moon Elder's hand. A jade tube appeared in his hand. Sky Moon Elder handed the jade tube to Lin Feng and said, There are 40 types of 3,000 great Dao recorded in it. Check it. If there are no problems, the purple demon immortal iron will belong to me. Chapter 3297. Lin Feng checked the 40 types of 3,000 great ways that the Sky Moon Elder gave him. Then, Lin Feng smiled. These 40 types of 3,000 great ways. They were all 3,000 great ways that he had never cultivated. There is no problem with the 3,000 great ways. This purple devil immortal iron belongs to you. Lin Feng handed the purple devil immortal iron to the Sky Moon Elder. The Sky Moon Elder nodded with a smile. Then, he sat down. Lin Feng sat down too, and started to study the 60 types of 3,000 great ways that he had just obtained. Lin Feng had already cultivated 518 types of 3,000 great ways. In addition to the 60 types of 3,000 great ways now, that was 578 types of 3,000 great ways. Every additional type of 3,000 great ways that he cultivated could greatly increase his strength. Therefore, now, Lin Feng couldn't wait to cultivate the 60 types of 3,000 great ways that he had just obtained. If he succeeded in cultivating these 60 types of 3,000 great ways, his battle strength would greatly increase again. However, Lin Feng knew that it wasn't the time to leave and cultivate these 3,000 great ways. There were still many good things that hadn't been taken out in the trade fair, especially the thing that had been passed down from the battlefield of gods. It hadn't appeared yet. One by one, treasures were taken out for trade. Du Zhu, the evil dominator Holy, and the two ghost emperors also traded with others for treasures that were beneficial to their cultivation. Lin Feng didn't participate in the trade fair anymore. Mister, we have gathered everything. Please take a look. Halfway through the trade fair, Lei Ziyi came to Lin Feng's side and handed a storage ring to Lin Feng. Okay. Lin Feng nodded. Then, his divine thought entered the storage ring. The storage ring wasn't very big. It was only about a dozen cubic meters. Inside the storage ring, there were transparent glassware. Inside the glassware, there were all kinds of materials. These materials included the 300 types of materials that Lin Feng needed. 100 types of materials were used to cultivate the Archean ancestor worm. 100 types of materials were used to cultivate the Emperor Archaic. 100 types of materials were used to cultivate the great, desolate, demon-refining insects. Seeing the materials, Lin Feng was delighted. With these materials, he would be able to properly nurture the Emperor Archaic, the primordial ancestor worm, and the primordial demon refinement broodmother. Presumably, the archaic ancestral worm and Emperor Archaic would be able to grow quickly. The prehistoric demon refining insect queen could also give birth to a large number of eggs. Lin Feng gave the heavenly thunder saber to Lei Ziyi. Lei Ziyi put away the sky thunder blade and quickly returned to her seat. One treasure after another was taken out to be traded. The woman in white bought a lot of things and also sold a lot of things. Lin Feng felt that the woman in white seemed to be collecting something, but he didn't find anything out of the ordinary. Halfway through the trade fair, the white-clothed woman left. It seems that she didn't come for the item that was spread in the battlefield of the gods. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. The white-clothed woman's departure did not affect the trade fair. The trade fair was still very lively. Everyone, I have a holy dragon fruit here. I wonder if anyone is interested in this item? A middle-aged cultivator said with a smile. Then, he took out a fruit. The fruit was sealed in a transparent glass container. Although it was just a fruit, it showed the shadow of a dragon. The dragon let out a long roar that shook the heavens and the earth. Holy dragon fruit. There really is such a thing. After seeing the holy dragon fruit, someone immediately exclaimed. Lin Feng was also very surprised. He had seen the holy dragon fruit in a Taoist scripture, so he knew how extraordinary the value of the holy dragon fruit was. The middle-aged cultivator said, "The holy dragon fruit is the rarest treasure of heaven and earth. It's rumored, if the holy dragon fruit tree wants to bear fruit, it must absorb the holy dragon blood essence." Holy dragon. It was a type of dragon. It was said that the bloodline of the holy dragon was almost comparable to that of the true dragon. However, the holy dragon was too rare. It belonged to the legendary dragon race. Many people even thought that the holy dragon was a fictional race. In the real world, there was no such thing as the holy dragon fruit. Of course, it didn't matter if it was real or not. The value of the holy dragon fruit was unimaginable. The holy dragon fruit had a great effect on the dragon race. It could greatly increase the dragon race's physical body, soul, and bloodline. Cultivators outside of the dragon race were not allowed to consume the holy dragon fruit. This was because the medicinal power of the holy dragon fruit was too overbearing, and it was specially targeted at the dragon race. The effect on other races was not obvious. Moreover, not only would the other races not be able to increase their strength after consuming the holy dragon fruit, it was very likely that the holy dragon fruit would harm their bodies. It could be said that the gains did not make up for the losses. This holy dragon fruit, I want to exchange for 3 immortal medicines that are over 1,000,000 years old. The middle-aged cultivator said. Spiritual medicines that were over 100,000 years old were already extremely rare, let alone immortal medicines that were over 1,000,000 years old. That was a spiritual medicine that could be used to refine immortal pills. Even if someone obtained it, they wouldn't easily take it out. Not to mention 3 of them. At this moment, Lin Feng discovered that the dragon egg in the mountain river ring was emitting a violent fluctuation. Eat, eat, eat. Xiaolong's voice rang out in Lin Feng's mind. Although Xiaolong had not yet hatched, it was already able to communicate with Lin Feng. This little fellow was just like before, a complete glutton. The holy dragon fruit was obviously very useful to Xiaolong. Therefore, Xiaolong could not wait to devour the holy dragon fruit. Wait patiently. Soon, I will exchange the holy dragon fruit. Then, I will let you have a good meal. Lin Feng transmitted to Xiaolong. The little fellow was intelligent, and after hearing Lin Feng's words, it was very happy. Thus, it became quiet. Lin Feng looked at the middle-aged cultivator. Although the holy dragon fruit was precious, Lin Feng still intended to trade with the middle-aged cultivator. Because Lin Feng could not wait to see Xiaolong hatch successfully. 3 immortal medicines that are over 1,000,000 years old. I want them, Lin Feng said. Ha 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 ha. The holy dragon fruit is mine. This young master will offer 5 immortal medicines that are over 1,000,000 years old. Long Yuding laughed loudly. He looked at Lin Feng with an arrogant expression. What a big deal. Many people could not help but exclaim as they looked at Long Yuding in shock. 5 immortal medicines that were over 1,000,000 years old. Long Yuding was really rich. Long Yuding enjoyed the shocked, envious, and jealous gazes of the surrounding cultivators. Chapter 3298. This Long Yuding really knows how to trample on that human cultivator whenever he gets the chance. Isn't that so? The two of them are now facing each other, but Long Yuding does have the ability to do so. That's right. Long Yuding is of noble birth and has a lot of treasures on him. The cultivators in the private room began to discuss among themselves. Clearly, in their eyes, Lin Feng had no way of competing with Long Yuding. Lin Feng said indifferently, "What a disgrace. You dare to take out 5 immortal herbs that are over 1,000,000 years old to make a fool of yourself? What a pauper. I'll give you 10. Lin Feng's words caused an uproar among the crowd. Any stock of immortal medicine was priceless. Lin Feng actually offered 10 immortal herbs in exchange for the holy dragon fruit. He was truly rich and overbearing. Even the middle-aged cultivator revealed an expression of disbelief. Long Yuding's expression turned extremely ugly. Earlier, he had humiliated Lin Feng, but now, it seemed that what he had just said was like a resounding slap to his face. Long Yuding's expression was as ugly as it could be. What? You can't afford a higher price? Are immortal herbs very precious? In the eyes of a pauper like you, immortal herbs might be precious, but to me, they're nothing. Lin Feng couldn't help but sneer. He looked at Long Yuding with disdain. Lin Feng wasn't bragging here, because immortal herbs really weren't much to Lin Feng. Lin Feng had collected so many storage rings from the myriad races, extraterritorial races, and other great emperors. In addition to his own fortuitous opportunities, he had also plundered the treasuries of the exalted immortal sect, the Undying clan, the Huangdao clan, and other forces. Therefore, Lin Feng had over 1,000 immortal herbs on him. This was the accumulation of the great emperors and other forces over countless years. But in the end, it fell into Lin Feng's hands. Therefore, a mere 10 immortal herbs were nothing to Lin Feng. Good. Long Yuding's eyes flashed with killing intent. He said the word good 3 times in a row, wishing he could cut Lin Feng into 1,000 pieces for humiliating him. But now, they were in the territory of the 100 Music Pavilion. Long Yuding couldn't go too far. Lin Feng said mockingly, "You insult her. What a humiliation. Do you feel a burning pain on your face right now? Does it feel good?" Many people's mouths twitched violently when they heard Lin Feng's words. Lin Feng wasn't done after slapping Long Yuding's face. Moreover, he was going to tear open Long Yuding's scar once again. "Kid, right now, this young master won't argue with you about this. This young master is looking forward to the scene of you kneeling on the ground and begging for mercy." Long Yuding said coldly. "Young Master Tongue, that's right. There's no need to be calculative with this kid." Sun Yongtao also advised from the side. Long Yuding nodded. Then he sat down and didn't say anything else. From Long Yuding's gloomy expression, one could tell how angry he was at this moment. Lin Feng used 10 immortal herbs to exchange for the holy dragon fruit with the middle-aged cultivator. Then, Lin Feng refined the holy dragon fruit. The holy dragon fruit turned into the purest energy. When the little dragon felt the energy of the holy dragon fruit, it cried out in alarm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. The little dragon began to madly devour the energy of the holy dragon fruit. A large amount of energy. It was all devoured by the little dragon. Crack, crack. The dragon egg kept cracking. At that moment, Lin Feng's attention was drawn to the dragon egg. After devouring the holy dragon fruit, could the dragon egg completely crack? If it could completely crack, then the little dragon would be born. Was this heaven-defying little dragon the descendant of the ancestral dragon? The answer was about to be revealed. Because of this, Lin Feng felt somewhat nervous. Crack, 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 crack. The dragon egg was still cracking. The dragon egg was about to crack completely, but it was still a little short. Bang, bang, bang. The little dragon slammed its head directly against the dragon egg. Ouch, it hurts. Then, the little dragon screamed. The little guy didn't manage to crack open the dragon egg. Instead, it hit its head with extreme pain. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although the little dragon still couldn't hatch this time, but Lin Feng felt, at most, it could devour another heaven and earth treasure. The little dragon should be able to hatch successfully. One cultivator after another took out their treasures to trade. In the following trade, Lin Feng still didn't make a move. Very few treasures could arouse Lin Feng's interest. "Everyone, this old man came late. Everyone, please forgive me." At this moment, a hearty laugh suddenly sounded in the private room. Then, an old man entered the private room. This old man had the demeanor of a transcendent being. He wore a Taoist robe, but he didn't hold a horsetail whisk in his hand. This old man wasn't a Taoist priest. Lin Feng had seen many people who weren't Taoists like to wear Taoist robes. It was said that this helped in comprehending the Tao. However, Lin Feng didn't know who spread this saying. "Old man Songhai. It's old man Songhai." After seeing the old man, someone immediately cried out in alarm. "What? This old man is old man Songhai?" Then, the sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard. Old man Songhai seemed to be very famous, because other than Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the evil sovereign saint, and the 2 ghost emperors, these 5 cultivators from the 9 regions. When the others heard that this old man was old man Songhai, they all revealed shocked expressions. "Who is old man Songhai?" Du Zhu asked a cultivator beside him in a low voice. Lin Feng couldn't help but listen. That cultivator looked at Du Zhu as if he was looking at a monster. This made the poison ancestor extremely depressed, and he almost wanted to slap him. That cultivator saw that Du Zhu didn't seem to know old man Songhai's origin, so he said, "Old man Songhai is a famous expert in the starry sky world. This person is an Emperor Realm expert. 7th Heaven Emperor Realm. An Emperor Realm cultivator. He was a great emperor of the 5th Heaven. An Emperor Realm expert was definitely a figure who could dominate the world." Lin Feng couldn't help but be slightly surprised. He didn't expect old man Songhai to be such a powerful figure. This level, it was enough to become the master of a great world. Even the myriad races, which were known to have countless experts. There weren't many Emperor Realm experts. Many people went to greet Old Man Songhai. Although Old Man Songhai's cultivation was powerful, he was very easygoing. He nodded to everyone with a smile on his face. This time, this old man represents the 100 Music Pavilion to bring something to everyone. I'm here to trade with everyone. Chapter 3299. Hearing this, everyone's spirits couldn't help but tremble. The treasure they had been waiting for had finally appeared. Many people couldn't suppress the excitement in their hearts. Duzu continued to ask the cultivator beside him, "What's the relationship between Old Man Songhai and the 100 Music Pavilion?" Rumor has it that Old Man Songhai is a hall master of the 100 Music Pavilion's main pavilion. The cultivator said, "The 100 Music Pavilion's main pavilion had a chief pavilion master, 3 vice-chief pavilion masters, and 8 hall masters. Old Man Songhai was one of the 8 hall masters of the 100 Music Pavilion. Since he was an Emperor Realm expert, didn't that mean that the other 7 hall masters were also experts of the same level? As for the 3 vice-chief pavilion masters, what was the cultivation level of the chief pavilion master? The 100 Music Pavilion was one of the most powerful forces in the Starry Sky world. This force really couldn't be underestimated. There were too many experts. Lin Feng couldn't help but click his tongue. I wonder what treasure that thing is? Someone asked. She couldn't wait to see that treasure for a long time. Many cultivators had come this time. They were here for the treasure that had been passed down from the battlefield of the gods. The Writ of the Gods. Old Man Songhai said. The Writ of the Gods? What's that? Someone asked doubtfully. Lin Feng was also surprised. He had originally thought that it was a powerful treasure, but now, it seemed to be a command medallion. Everyone should know about the tiger tally, right? Old Man Songhai said. A cultivator said, "Of course we know about the tiger tally. Some secular countries need the tiger tally to mobilize their troops. It's said that the soldiers of those countries only recognize the tiger tally and not the general. That's why the tiger tally is the key to mobilizing troops in the secular world." Old Man Songhai said, "This fellow Taoist is absolutely right. The Writ of the Gods has the same function as the tiger tally of the secular world." Everyone looked at Old Man Songhai in shock. They couldn't help but reveal astonishment on their faces. Old Man Songhai explained, during the late period of the Xiantian life forms rule, the Xiantian life forms formed huge cultivator armies one after another. The cultivator army is made up of true experts. It is said that many immortal-level existences have joined the cultivator army. From this, one can see just how powerful the cultivator army is. And the one who mobilized these cultivator armies was the Order of the Gods. In the past, with the Gods token, even immortals had to listen to it. If you dare to disobey, you will be killed without mercy. Oh my God! The origin of this token of the gods is simply too shocking. Many people couldn't help but exclaim, their faces full of shock. The origin of the Order of the Gods was indeed too great. Following that, someone said, the Writ of the Gods, in the era of Xiantian life forms, indeed held extraordinary significance. However, the current era of Xiantian life forms had long since ended. Who knew how many billions of years had passed? What's the value of the God's order? Many people couldn't help but nod. This was also what everyone was puzzled about. The Order of the Gods seemed to have only a symbolic meaning now. There was no other meaning to it. Old Man Songhai smiled and said, the God's token is very useful, because the God's token is a token to enter the battlefield of the gods. Only those who possess the God's token can rely on the God's token to find the battlefield of the gods, and then enter it. Old Man Songhai said, what? There's such a thing? Many cultivators couldn't help but exclaim, their eyes fixed on the God's token in Old Man Songhai's hand. If the God's token had such a function, then it was too precious. The value of the God's token was unimaginable. Senior, what do you want to exchange it for? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. In the private room, everyone looked at Old Man Songhai at the same time. Everyone wanted to know what Old Man Songhai wanted to exchange the God's token for. A supreme treasure like the gods' token. It involved the mysterious battlefield of the gods. It didn't seem excessive to exchange it for anything. Old man Songhai said. An immortal artifact. This, many people couldn't help but frown. The god's token was naturally incomparably precious. With the god's token, one would have limitless possibilities. If one used the god's token to enter the battlefield of the gods, one could even obtain several immortal artifacts. But so what? That was all in the future. Obtaining the god's token might even lead to a fatal disaster. Or, even if one could use the god's token to enter the battlefield of the gods, there was also the possibility of encountering danger and dying in the battlefield of the gods. Therefore, the so-called opportunity. These were all things that couldn't be seen. As for immortal artifacts, they were true supreme treasures. Not to mention that one couldn't take out an immortal artifact. Even if one took out an immortal artifact, no one would use an immortal artifact to exchange for the god's token. Ha 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 ha. I was just joking with everyone. Don't take it so seriously. Old man Songhai couldn't help but laugh. F*CK. Lin Feng couldn't help but roll his eyes. Old man Songhai, who looked like an immortal, actually knew how to make such a joke. It was really unexpected. Many people couldn't help but smile bitterly. Old man Songhai continued. The god's token can be exchanged for a divine striking stone. I wonder who has it? Divine striking stone? This kind of thing is already difficult to find, right? A cultivator immediately frowned and said. Lin Feng couldn't help but raise his eyebrows slightly. It was recorded in the classic of mountains and seas. The ancestor of the Jiang family, Jiang Taigong, searched for a divine striking stone and forged a supreme treasure, the divine striking whip, which could strike the gods of all worlds. The divine striking whip. It was a magic treasure that was famous for its prowess. It was one of the most famous magical treasures in history. Compared to many treasures, the divine striking whip was not as powerful as those treasures. However, the divine striking whip had an extremely heaven-defying aspect. That was, no god would be able to avoid the attack of the god-beating whip. The gods here referred to the experts of the era of the conferred gods. The divine striking whip was the supreme treasure of the Jiang family, which had been passed down until now. Back in the Tianwu continent, Lin Feng and Zhang Yudi were very close. Of course, Lin Feng and Zhang Yudi were purely friends. However, they were friends who would go through life and death together. Lin Feng had heard Zhang Yudi mention the divine striking whip before. Once activated, no one could avoid the divine striking whip's attack. Therefore, it was easy to imagine how heaven-defying this supreme treasure was. The material used to forge the divine striking whip was the divine striking stone. I heard that a divine striking stone appeared in the starry sky world a few years ago. If you want the god's token, you can find the divine striking stone to exchange for it. Old man Songhai said, There's no need to find the divine striking stone. It's with me. At this moment, a voice suddenly resounded. Next, a cultivator stood up and walked toward old man Songhai. Chapter 3300. The cultivator who spoke was actually Xie Duanhuan. Xie Duanhuan was the son of the leader of the evil demon bandits, and he had a fiendish appearance. He really didn't look like a good person. Moreover, Xie Duanhuan's eyes were extremely sinister and terrifying. The scar on his face was like a wriggling centipede. His entire person gave off a gloomy and terrifying feeling. At this time, Xie Duanhuan took out an item. It was a piece of green stone. It looked very ordinary, and there was nothing special about it. But that cyan stone was the priceless divine striking stone. This was a material used to forge the god-striking whip. This was also the first time Lin Feng had seen a legendary treasure like the god-striking stone. Although such a piece of god-striking stone was not enough to forge a treasure like the god-striking whip. However, there was no problem in forging a smaller magic treasure. Let this old man take a look. Old man Songhai hurriedly said. Xie Duanhuan handed the god-striking stone over to old man Songhai. Old man Songhai studied it carefully. Then, he couldn't help but reveal a look of joy. That's right. It was the god-striking stone. Old man Songhai said. He kept the god's striking stone and then handed the god's token to Xie. Xie was playing with the god's token. The corner of his mouth curled up into a sinister arc. The god's token had an owner. This caused many cultivators to be extremely disappointed. But this was how bartering was. Whoever could take out what the other party wanted would be able to obtain the other party's treasure. Since he couldn't take out what the other party wanted, he could only look at the treasure and sigh. The trade fair continued. However, the trade fair had already reached its end. In addition, the god's token had been exchanged by Xie. As a result, cultivators left the trade fair one after another. Lin Feng's group of 5 left the trade fair before it ended. The beautiful woman chased after them and said, Lin Gongzi, wait a moment. Oh, is there anything else? Lin Feng looked at the beautiful woman and asked, Hallmaster invites you in. Let's discuss the matter I mentioned before. The beautiful woman said, Good. This is something that should be done. Lin Feng said, following which, under the guidance of the beautiful woman, Lin Feng's group of 5 arrived at another private room. There was only one person in the room. It was old man Songhai. Senior Songhai. Lin Feng cupped his fists at old man Songhai. Du Zhu, the evil dominator holy sage, and the 2 ghost emperors also cupped their fists. The beautiful woman left without a sound. The trade fair wasn't over yet. Therefore, the beautiful woman needed to preside over the trade fair. Ha ha ha, little friend Lin Feng. This old man has heard of your great name for a long time. Now, he had finally gotten what he wanted and met his little friend Lin Feng. Truly a man of striking appearance, a dragon amongst men. Old man Songhai said with a smile, Senior, you flatter me. This junior really doesn't deserve such praise. Lin Feng said hurriedly. Old man Songhai said, Little friend, there's no need to be so polite. Over the years, this old man has seen too many geniuses, but geniuses with little friends bearing are as rare as phoenix feathers and Qilin horns. Coincidentally, this old man has a granddaughter who is as beautiful as a fairy. Who knows how many people want to pursue this old man's granddaughter, but this old man's granddaughter has very high standards. Thus, until now, she still hasn't found her ideal husband. Little friend, are you interested in meeting this old man's granddaughter? Perhaps the 2 of you will be attracted to each other and have deep feelings for each other, resulting in an eternal story of a handsome man and a beautiful woman. After hearing old man Songhai's words, Lin Feng couldn't help but smile bitterly. Old man Songhai was truly an unfathomable person. Now that they had met, he didn't even talk about proper matters, and instead introduced his granddaughter to him. Moreover, old man Songhai's serious manner didn't seem to be joking at all. Du Zhu, the evil dominator holy sage, and the 2 ghost emperors were secretly laughing at the side. Lin Feng smiled bitterly and said, Many thanks for Senior's good intentions. Junior is just passing by, so I won't stay for long. Soon, Junior will enter the starry sky world to travel the starry sky. So I have no time to consider personal matters, so I hope Senior can be magnanimous. Old man Songhai heard Lin Feng say this and continued, Little friend, you say this because you haven't seen this old man's granddaughter. If you really see this old man's granddaughter, I'm afraid you won't be able to move. When the time comes to chase you away, you probably won't leave. Lin Feng smiled bitterly. He really met a weirdo. Old man Songhai was clearly different from other top experts, who would spare no effort to recommend their granddaughter. Lin Feng said helplessly, Senior Songhai. Although Junior would like to chat with Songhai for a while, Junior still has things to deal with. If Senior doesn't have anything else, Junior will take his leave first. Old man Songhai naturally knew why Lin Feng wanted to leave. Naturally, it wasn't because he had things to deal with, but because he was frightened by his enthusiasm. Thinking of this, old man Songhai said, Little friend, don't be in a hurry to leave. Of course, this old man has something to discuss with you. Let's put aside the matter of this old man's granddaughter for the time being and talk about business. In the next hour, Lin Feng and old man Songhai talked about many things about the stone state. Lin Feng learned many secrets of the stone state from old man Songhai, and of course, he also learned about the various terrifying restrictions that shrouded the stone state. After the two sides finished talking about the stone state, Lin Feng planned to leave. Old man Songhai sent Lin Feng and the others to the door and then continued, "Little friend, you must think carefully. This old man's granddaughter is really good. She's a peerless beauty. If you miss this village, you won't have this shop. You must seize this opportunity." Lin Feng, who had just walked out of the private room, almost fell to the ground. He hurriedly fled. The next day, boom, a terrifying aura pervaded between heaven and earth. The void split open. A cultivator stepped out. This cultivator was none other than Sun Yongtao, a fifth-layer immortal emperor powerhouse. Sun Yongtao had no intention of suppressing his aura. An extremely terrifying aura was emitted from his body. That terrifying aura directly enveloped Lin Feng's residence. Such a powerful aura naturally attracted the attention of many people. Many cultivators rushed over and watched from a distance. It's Sun Yongtao. This person has attached himself to the demonic dragon clan. Now that he's emitting such killing intent, who is he targeting? I heard that he's targeting a young human cultivator. Sun Yongtao said that he wants that young human cultivator to suffer a fate worse than death. Oh, a young human cultivator? Is there a conflict between the two sides? It seems to be a conflict that occurred at the trade fair. Long Yuding was also involved, but he didn't appear. Perhaps he thinks that Sun Yongtao is enough to deal with that brat. This is going to be a good show. That human brat is definitely going to die, right? Not necessarily. That human brat has 4 great emperors by his side. There are strong and weak great emperors as well. With Sun Yongtao's powerful cultivation, he can deal with the 4 great emperors by his side alone. Many people began to discuss spiritedly, "Little bastard, get out here and die." Chapter 3301. When he heard the curses, Lin Feng knew who it was. Sun Yongtao, a cultivator attached to the devil dragon race. Lin Feng had long guessed that this person would not let the matter rest and would definitely come to him. Now, he really came. "You reckless thing. You actually took the initiative to send yourself to death." The evil sovereign saint sneered. This Sun Yongtao was only at the 5th level of the immortal lord realm. As for the evil sovereign saint, he was at the peak of the immortal lord realm. However, the evil sovereign saint liked to pretend to be weak and cultivated a special technique. He suppressed his realm to the divine lord realm. Therefore, when others sensed the strength of the evil sovereign saint, they discovered that the evil sovereign saint was only a divine lord realm cultivator. Naturally, they would look down on the evil sovereign saint. In fact, the evil sovereign saint was extremely terrifying. This was because the evil sovereign saint's mana was profound, and his physical body was even stronger than Lin Feng's. This was because the evil sovereign saint was an emperor's corpse. In the past, he had an emperor's body. Now that he had returned from the tribulation, then he cultivated his body. Naturally, he was extremely terrifying. Other than the evil sovereign saint, Du Zhu and the 2 ghost emperors were only 1 step away from entering the immortal lord realm. In addition, the 9 regions' great emperor could often challenge the great emperor of other worlds. If the evil sovereign saint did not make a move, Du Zhu or the 2 ghost emperors could easily defeat this Sun Yongtao. Therefore, there was no need for Lin Feng to deal with someone like Sun Yongtao. Why did Lin Feng bring the 4 great emperors out? Of course, it was to help solve some problems. For example, encountering someone like Sun Yongtao who did not have eyes. Du Zhu and the others could help Lin Feng get rid of the other party. "Little bastard, didn't you hear? Hurry up and come out to die." Sun Yongtao cursed fiercely. He was extremely excited now, because, from Sun Yongtao's point of view, Lin Feng would not be able to escape even if he had wings. He would be able to torture and humiliate Lin Feng later. In his heart, naturally, he was extremely excited. Creak. The door opened. Lin Feng and the others walked out. "That brat is still laughing. Don't you know that a calamity is coming? Who knows what that brat is thinking?" The surrounding cultivators who were watching the fun saw Lin Feng come out with a face full of smiles. All of them were extremely puzzled. She didn't know why Lin Feng was laughing. I was wondering who was buzzing around here like a fly early in the morning. So it's you, Trash. Trash son. I didn't go looking for you, but you came looking for me. Are you in such a hurry to die? Lin Feng looked at Sun Yongtao with a mocking expression. He did not put Sun Yongtao in his eyes at all. Anyone could feel Lin Feng's contempt and disdain for Sun Yongtao. This made everyone extremely shocked. Lin Feng is a piece of trash. Sun Yongtao was once again called trash. Could it be that he really had the confidence to deal with Sun Yongtao? However, many people quickly rejected this idea. Sun Yongtao had such a powerful cultivation. What could Lin Feng and the other four use to contend against Sun Yongtao? That brat is too arrogant. He actually humiliated Sun Yongtao like this. Sun Yongtao will definitely torture him until he wishes he was dead. Then, a cultivator said. This cultivator's words gained the approval of many people. Little bastard, you're courting death. You're courting death. This emperor will tear you into pieces. Vent the hatred in my heart. Sun Yongtao's resentful voice sounded. Lin Feng curled his lips and said, a piece of trash like you doesn't even have the qualifications to fight with me. Which one of you four will go and kill this trash? This guy is too arrogant. Many people couldn't help but say. Lin Feng, a quasi-emperor level cultivator, actually said that an immortal emperor level expert didn't even have the qualifications to fight with him. If this wasn't arrogance, then what was? However, these people didn't know that Lin Feng was just stating the truth. Once Lin Feng, who controlled the Black Dragon Sword, used it, perhaps it would only take one sword. It would be enough to kill Sun Yongtao. Lin Feng was no longer interested in fighting with an ordinary great emperor like Sun Yongtao. Either that or those monstrous cultivators. Or those great emperor with a high cultivation realm. Or else, how could an ordinary great emperor be qualified to make Lin Feng take action? Du Zhu, the evil sovereign saint, and the two ghost emperors could kill those people. Young master, I'll deal with this reckless thing. The evil sovereign saint took the initiative to ask for orders. Ha 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 ha. When the big zombie makes a move, it's simply a complete massacre. Du Zhu laughed loudly. Go. Lin Feng waved his hand and said. The heretic sovereign saint flew out and laughed coldly as he looked at Sun Yongtao. And then he said, a piece of trash like you dares to run before our young master? You're simply tired of living. I'll kill you today. In your next life, remember, don't offend people you can't afford to offend. Many people couldn't help but reveal bitter smiles. Because everyone realized. It wasn't just Lin Feng, this young master, who was extremely arrogant. Even Lin Feng's subordinates. They were all so arrogant. They didn't put Sun Yongtao, an immortal emperor stage ranker, in their eyes at all. When a God Lord realm cultivator could ignore an immortal emperor stage cultivator like this? Sun Yongtao made his move and punched towards the evil sovereign saint. Sun Yongtao's fist was surrounded by endless immortal light. Within the immortal light, a mysterious and unfathomable world could be vaguely seen. That world, it emitted an extremely terrifying aura and fluctuation. And in that mysterious world, immortals soared into the sky, flying into the 9 heavens. Flying immortal fist. It's actually the flying immortal fist. This is a terrifying sacred art. Legend has it that it was passed down from a sentient life form. After seeing Sun Yongtao unleash this flying immortal fist, many people couldn't help but reveal extremely shocked expressions. The power of that punch was simply too terrifying, causing people to be extremely shocked. That brat subordinate wouldn't have been killed by Sun Yongtao's punch, right? Immediately, a cultivator said. Many people felt that perhaps there really was such a possibility. Facing Sun Yongtao's attack, the evil sovereign saint had a cold expression on his face. At this time, the evil sovereign saint also made his move. The evil sovereign saint swept his fist towards Sun Yongtao. Moreover, his punch seemed extremely casual. The evil sovereign saint didn't put Sun Yongtao in his eyes at all, which was why he threw out such a casual punch. Bam! Accompanied by the sound of a violent collision. The sound of bones cracking could be heard. He took on the powerful attack of the evil sovereign saint. Sun Yongtao's arm was broken. He couldn't withstand the evil sovereign saint's attack at all. The evil sovereign saint's terrifying punch finally landed on Sun Yongtao's chest. Sun Yongtao's chest exploded. His body flew out and fell to the ground. He was already dead. Sun Yongtao, who was at the 5th stage of the immortal emperor realm, was actually killed by the evil sovereign saint with a single punch. Seeing this scene, the surroundings were completely silent. Chapter 3302. The heretical divinity, Saint, took Sun Yongtao's source energy. It was an immortal emperor's source energy, and it was very precious. Sun Yongtao's storage ring was also taken by the heretical divinity Saint. The heretical divinity Saint gave everything to Lin Feng. Sun Yongtao had died, but Long Yuding didn't show up. Long Yuding was definitely not a simple person. Lin Feng turned and entered the courtyard. Du Zhu, the heretical divinity Saint, and the 2 ghost emperors followed closely behind. Did you notice? The 4 great emperors by that brat's side seemed to be very respectful to him. Someone said, "That brat should be from a top faction, right? Isn't it normal for the protectors by his side to be very respectful to him?" Someone continued, "No, it's completely different. You have to know that great emperors have their own dignity. Long Yuding's status in the demonic dragon clan is so high, but when Sun Yongtao faces him, he listens to Long Yuding's orders, but most of the time, Sun Yongtao and Long Yuding are on equal footing. But the 4 people by that brat's side are different. Did you notice the look in their eyes? Everyone's looking at that brat with respect. What does that mean? That's right. I can feel it too. The 4 great emperors respect that brat very much. That doesn't make sense. Even if they received orders from the faction behind them to protect that brat. But there's no need for them to respect that brat so much, right? There's only one way to get these great emperors to show their respect." Following that, a few more cultivators joined in the discussion. "What way?" someone asked. "To be stronger than those great emperors," someone said. The moment that was said, the crowd was in an uproar. According to the cultivators' speculation, Lin Feng's strength, was he stronger than the 4 great emperors by his side? That's impossible. Many people shook their heads, unable to believe it. The outside world was in an uproar because of Sun Yongtao's death. Long Yuding had yet to make a move. However, everyone knew that Long Yuding wouldn't let this matter rest. After all, people like Long Yuding cared a lot about face. He had been humiliated by Lin Feng before. Sun Yongtao was his bodyguard, and now Sun Yongtao was killed. How could Long Yuding let this go? That kid even taught Xin Kuan of the Sun Moon tribe a lesson. What? There was such a thing? You even dare to offend a colossus like the Sun Moon tribe? Isn't that so? What's going on? I heard that a small-scale trade fair was held in the 100 Music Pavilion. Xin Kuan and the others were no match for the young man. That young man ordered his men to break Xin Kuan's limbs and threw him down from the 7th floor of the 100 Music Pavilion. He's really audacious. I don't know where that kid came from, but he's actually doing things without any scruples. Just you wait. The Sun Moon tribe and the Demon Dragon tribe will not let that brat off. I heard that the people from the evil Demon Bandit group are also inquiring about that brat recently. What? The evil Demon Bandits were inquiring about him? Were they trying to kill him and steal his treasures? How did the evil Demon Bandit group get their eyes on him? That brat displayed his extraordinary wealth at the trade fair organized by the 100 Music Pavilion. That's why he was targeted by the evil Demon Bandit group. Cultivators who are targeted by the evil Demon Bandit group don't have a good ending. Cultivators on the streets and alleys of the Lanzhou Star were all talking about Lin Feng. After all, Sun Yongtao was an immortal Emperor Realm cultivator. The fall of an immortal Emperor Realm cultivator would naturally cause a huge uproar. Lin Feng was at the center of the storm. Of course, he would become the focus of countless discussions. In the blink of an eye, it was time to depart for the Stone State ruins. The beautiful woman sent someone to fetch Lin Feng. Lin Feng once again arrived at the beautiful woman's residence. The experts of the 100 Music Pavilion had all arrived. This time, the 100 Music Pavilion was led by Old Man Songhai. Old Man Songhai was one of the 8 hall masters of the 100 Music Pavilion. He was an Emperor Realm cultivator. With him leading everyone to the Stone State ruins, there would be no problems. Their safety would also be guaranteed. Anyone who wanted to attack a group led by an Emperor Realm cultivator would have to carefully consider whether they had the ability to do so. On the 100 Music Pavilion side, other than Old Man Songhai, there were also 3 great emperors. One of them was the beautiful woman, Su Jiaomei. The other 2 were a man and a woman. Lin Feng had never seen them before. The man looked to be in his 40s or 50s. Of course, his actual age was far from that. The woman looked quite similar to Su Jiaomei and seemed to be about the same age. Lin Feng's heart couldn't help but tremble slightly. Could this woman be Su Jiaomei's sister? Because their appearances were somewhat similar, Lin Feng made such a guess. In addition to the 4 great emperors, the 100 Music Pavilion also brought many cultivators and guards. Some of the younger cultivators probably had an extraordinary status in the 100 Music Pavilion. This time, they were most likely brought along to try their luck. Perhaps, they would be able to obtain a great opportunity and soar into the sky. A carp leaping through the dragon's gate. What surprised Lin Feng was that in addition to the cultivators of the 100 Music Pavilion, there were dozens of cultivators who were not from the 100 Music Pavilion. The other dozens of cultivators were divided into 3 groups. The first group was led by a female cultivator who was about 30 years old. The second group was led by an old man. The third group was led by 2 middle-aged men who looked exactly the same. After seeing these 3 groups of people, Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. He originally thought that there were only people from the 100 Music Pavilion. He didn't expect. There were actually 3 more groups of people from unknown forces. Old Man Songhai introduced with a smile, "Little friend, these 3 forces are the Bright Moon Star region, the Myriad Fiend Star region, the experts of the Yin-Yang Star region. Back then, our 4 forces discovered the Stone State ruins together. Therefore, our 4 forces are now exploring the Stone State ruins together." After introducing the 3 forces to Lin Feng, Old Man Songhai introduced Lin Feng to the 3 forces. Old Man Songhai said, "This is little friend Lin. He is the formation grandmaster that our 100 Music Pavilion invited. This time, he will be following us to the Stone State ruins." As soon as Old Man Songhai's voice fell, Chapter 3303. The cultivator who spoke was called Wan Yinming. This person was a rising star of the 1000 Fiend Star region, a super genius. He had cultivated for 50,000 years. Now, his cultivation had broken through to the peak Emperor God level. At this age, at this realm, he was indeed considered a genius. The human race was weak, although there were some top human forces in the starry sky world. But they were only a minority. In the huge human race, in the individual top forces, in the boundless starry sky world, in the endless forces, in the huge human race, in the individual top forces, in the boundless starry sky world. Naturally, they were like a drop in the ocean. They couldn't attract too much attention. When the cultivator called Wan Yinming saw that Lin Feng was so young and was a human cultivator, he revealed a mocking expression. He didn't believe that Lin Feng was an array master. He didn't know when it started. It seemed like every force, every race, they could even mock and insult the human race. This made Lin Feng very angry. The human race was weak, but it wasn't something that these people could insult as they wished. Lin Feng ignored Wan Yinming. Instead, he looked directly at the old man beside Wan Yinming. This old man was called Wan Qiyuan. He was the 5th elder of the 1000 Fiend Star region. An emperor-level expert, his cultivation could be said to be unfathomable. The elders in the clan haven't spoken yet, but the younger generation spoke first. It seems that the 1000 Fiend Star region didn't discipline their younger generation well. Lin Feng said indifferently. Wan Yinming's face suddenly sank. Lin Feng ignored him. Instead, he directly ignored him and talked to Wan Qiyuan. Wasn't this looking down on Wan Yinming? Wasn't this saying that Wan Yinming wasn't qualified to talk to him? Thinking of this, Wan Yinming was burning with anger. Wan Qiyuan said faintly, "Sometimes, young people speak without thinking. It's understandable. If all of them are as steady as the elders, they will lose the vitality of the young." Lin Feng said, "Vitality and not knowing the rules are 2 completely different concepts. Senior, you should educate the younger generation of the clan properly. After all, the younger generation is the hope of the clan. One wrong step and it might affect their lives. Kid, what right do you have to boast shamelessly here? Wang Yiming couldn't take it anymore. He looked at Lin Feng furiously. His eyes were filled with awe-inspiring intent. He had never put Lin Feng in his eyes, so how could he tolerate Lin Feng pointing fingers at him? Moreover, Lin Feng was acting all high and mighty. This kind of arrogant attitude made Wang Yiming extremely angry. Lin Feng said faintly, "Since the 100 Music Pavilion has invited me to take action, this means that I have the qualifications. You, on the other hand, don't know the rules at all. If your elders weren't here, I wouldn't mind teaching you how to behave on behalf of your elders." Everyone looked at Lin Feng with great interest. Lin Feng was a Boundary Emperor realm cultivator. Where did his confidence come from? She actually dared to say that she would teach Wang Yiming a lesson? Brat, how dare you strut around here with your meager cultivation? Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll fulfill your wish. Wang Yiming's voice was cold. He directly leaped out. He flew toward Lin Feng. Boom! Then, Wang Yiming made his move and punched toward Lin Feng. That tyrannical punch contained the power to destroy heaven and earth. Wang Yiming's punch was called the 10,000 Dragon Roaring Sky Fist. With a punch, it could erupt with the power of 10,000 dragons. Its power was endless. Will that brat be killed by Wang Yiming's punch? Some of the cultivators in the crowd whispered. Wang Yiming's cultivation was indeed very powerful. It surpassed Lin Feng by too much. Therefore, many people felt that Lin Feng might really be killed by Wang Yiming's punch. Wang Yiming looked at Lin Feng with a mocking gaze. Wang Yiming was obviously extremely confident in his own cultivation. He believed. He punched himself. Even if he couldn't directly kill Lin Feng, at the very least, he could seriously injure Lin Feng. This bit of confidence, Wang Yiming still had it. No one present had seen Lin Feng make a move. Even though the 100 Music Pavilion had a certain understanding of Lin Feng. But after all, it was only the information they found out. What you hear is false, but what you see is true. Therefore, these people from the 100 Music Pavilion also wanted to see how Lin Feng's cultivation was. The only ones who were full of confidence in Lin Feng were Du Zhu, the evil sovereign saint, and the two ghost emperors. They knew Lin Feng's combat strength. How powerful and terrifying was he? Facing Wang Yiming's attack, Lin Feng's expression was cold. He also punched toward Wang Yiming. Lin Feng's punch. He didn't even use any supernatural powers. He just circulated his magic power. Then, he punched. Wang Yiming's expression suddenly became extremely gloomy. Lin Feng actually looked down on him so much. It simply made Wang Yiming mad. Now, Wang Yiming felt that killing Lin Feng directly was letting Lin Feng off too easily. He should trample Lin Feng under his feet. He should ruthlessly humiliate and torture him. Only then could he relieve the hatred in his heart. Bang! Right at that moment, the two sides collided. Everyone saw that. Lin Feng didn't move at all. Wang Yiming, on the other hand, was sent flying. Wah! Suddenly, Wang Yiming spat out a mouthful of blood. Wang Yiming, who was at the peak of the Emperor God realm, he was actually beaten by Lin Feng to the point of spitting out blood. This. Everyone present had an incoherent expression on their faces. They simply couldn't believe their eyes. Lin Feng was only a Boundary Emperor realm cultivator. Now, he actually beat a peak Emperor God cultivator to the point of spitting out blood. Furthermore, he had only used a single move. This combat strength, wasn't it too powerful? Today, I'll give face to 1,000 Fiend Star region, so I'll spare your life. In the future, be more low-key. Otherwise, you won't even know how you died. Lin Feng said indifferently. Arrogant. Lin Feng's words. It could be said to be extremely arrogant. However, now, everyone felt that Lin Feng's words were normal. Because Lin Feng was strong enough. When he was strong enough, he could do anything. Everything was natural. If he wasn't strong enough, if he was still so arrogant, that was the path to his own death. Wang Yiming's expression was as ugly as it could be. His fists were even clenched together. An unprecedented sense of humiliation. It made him feel like death was better than living. Just like what Lin Feng said before, those who humiliated others would be humiliated by others. Wang Yiming reaped what he sowed. Humph! This old man is still here. How dare you injure someone from my myriad fiend starfield? Are you looking down on my myriad fiend starfield? At this moment, Wan Shiyuan spoke. Now that Wan Yinming had suffered a great loss in Lin Feng's hands, Wan Shiyuan naturally wouldn't sit idly by. A terrifying aura surged out of Wan Shiyuan's body and suppressed Lin Feng. Chapter 3304. Wan Shiyuan's Emperor Realm cultivation was extremely terrifying. Now, he openly attacked. He wanted to humiliate Lin Feng in front of everyone. However, soon, Wan Shiyuan's expression turned ugly because a terrifying aura was emitted from his body. However, it did not affect Lin Feng at all. Lin Feng looked at Wan Shiyuan indifferently as if nothing had happened. After seeing this scene, everyone was completely dumbfounded. The aura of an Emperor Realm expert was oppressing. It did not affect Lin Feng at all. This was too unbelievable. It was no wonder these people were shocked. After all, an Emperor Realm expert's cultivation was so powerful. It was impossible for ordinary people to fight against a cultivator of this level. The aura emitted by a cultivator of this level. It was enough to suppress many Emperor Realm experts. No matter how strong Lin Feng's cultivation was, he should not be able to ignore the aura of an Emperor Realm expert like this. These people were mainly unaware of Lin Feng's situation. If they knew that Lin Feng had mastered 3 types of domineering aura, they would probably know why Lin Feng ignored the aura of the Emperor Realm expert, Wan Shiyuan. Lin Feng said indifferently, Elder Wan's taste is really good. You like to release your aura when you have nothing to do. Are you amusing yourself? Or are you trying to make us laugh? Pfft. When Su Jiaomei and the other female cultivators heard Lin Feng's mocking words of Wan Shiyuan, they could not help but laugh out loud. Many people laughed involuntarily. Because Lin Feng was really good at mocking people, how could an expert like Wan Shiyuan amuse himself or make everyone laugh? It was obvious that Wan Shiyuan's aura suppression had been neutralized by Lin Feng. When Wan Shiyuan heard Lin Feng's mockery, he was furious. He was so angry that he almost vomited blood. Wan Shiyuan was an emperor-level expert, yet he couldn't do anything to Lin Feng. It was as if he had been slapped in the face again and again, making him angry out of humiliation. Wan Shiyuan couldn't help but want to kill Lin Feng. Old Man Songhai also knew that this matter could not continue. Otherwise, it would get out of hand. Therefore, Old Man Songhai stood up and said, Brother Wan, little friend Lin, everyone was about to become a team and enter the stone state together. Therefore, peace should be the most important thing. The previous conflict was just a small matter. There was no need to make things unpleasant. How about we all take a step back and let this matter end here? Since Old Man Songhai had taken the initiative to mediate, naturally, they had to give him face. Lin Feng said, I have always considered myself to be a magnanimous person. Senior, please take the initiative to mediate. I won't bicker with the people of the 10,000 Fiends Starfield. Lin Feng's words infuriated the people of the 10,000 Fiends Starfield so much that they flew into a rage. Lin Feng was clearly implying that the people of the 10,000 Fiends Starfield did not know the rules and were acting like villains. However, the people of the 10,000 Fiends Starfield could only endure for now. Ignorant junior. Why would this old man lower himself to your level? Wan Shiyuan said coldly as he flicked his sleeves. Lin Feng smiled faintly and did not say anything. Wan Shiyuan's cultivation base was high. However, Lin Feng was not afraid of him. Because Lin Feng had many supreme treasures and powerful abilities, Wan Shiyuan could not do anything to him. Let's board the ship and set off now. Old Man Songhai said. Okay. Everyone nodded and boarded the ancient starship of the 100 Music Pavilion. The ancient starship of the 100 Music Pavilion was called the 100 Music. The flag of the 100 Music Pavilion looked like an immortal palace. This was the unique symbol of the 100 Music Pavilion. There were too many different kinds of interstellar bandits in the starry skies. Therefore, they had to be careful. After hanging the flag of the 100 Music Pavilion, the interstellar bandits saw it. They would not attack. The 100 Music Pavilion was not something that ordinary bandits could fight against. Therefore, even the bandits in the starry skies did not dare to attack the 100 Music Pavilion. Lin Feng, Du Zhu, the evil Dominator Saint, and the two Ghost Emperors lived in a huge suite. Lin Feng had been studying the 3,000 great Daos that he had obtained previously. Lin Feng had cultivated the true incantation of Lin, so his comprehension of the Tao was very fast. Therefore, his cultivation of the 3,000 great Daos was very fast. Other people might have to cultivate for a long time after obtaining the 3,000 great Daos before they could cultivate one of the 3,000 great Daos. However, Lin Feng could comprehend one of the 3,000 great Daos in a few days. In another suite, the 10,000 Fiends Starfields Wan Qiyuan, Wan Yinming, and two other cultivators were here. What was even more shocking was, surprisingly, Wan Qiyuan, who was an Emperor Sect expert, was not the leader of these four people, because, among the four of them, only one person was sitting there. Even Wan Qiyuan, an Emperor Sect expert. They were all standing at the side. The one sitting on the stool was a female cultivator. This female cultivator looked very young. In her life aura, she was also very young. However, facing this female cultivator, even Wan Qiyuan was very respectful to him. That brat surnamed Lin is really despicable. If I don't kill him, I swear I'm not human. Wan Yiming's voice was filled with cold killing intent. Towards Lin Feng, he hated him to the bone. That brat surnamed Lin is not a simple person. Suddenly, the female cultivator opened her mouth and said, "That brat's cultivation is so low. It's absolutely impossible for him to have such a powerful cultivation. He must have an extremely powerful magic treasure on him. Killing him is tantamount to obtaining a great opportunity." Wan Yiming said. The female cultivator said, "This brat surnamed Lin has two bloodlines, the immortal bloodline and the sovereign emperor bloodline." What? Hearing this, the three people in the private room could not help but exclaim. Wan Yiming's eyes flashed with deep jealousy. Immortal bloodline, sovereign emperor bloodline, two legendary bloodlines. Having one bloodline was already extremely heaven-defying, but Lin Feng had two bloodlines. How could this not make people envious and jealous? He's probably training outside, right? Wan Qiyuan said, "This brat's origin is too great. It seems like it's not good to make a move. Otherwise, it will lead to the destruction of our clan." The female cultivator said, "It's fine. Find an opportunity to make a move in the Stone State Ruins. The Stone State Ruins can shield the secrets of heaven. Do it cleanly and won't be exposed." "Yes," Wan Qiyuan and the other two hurriedly said. The most excited person was none other than Wan Yiming. He could finally kill Lin Feng. Chapter 3305. Lin Feng didn't know that he had been targeted by the mysterious powerhouse of the Myriad Fiend Starfield. Today, Lin Feng was still diligently cultivating the 3,000 Grand Daos he had obtained before. The One Happiness ancient starship was sailing quickly in the starry sky world. Along the way, they encountered several waves of starry sky bandits. But after seeing that this starry sky ancient ship belonged to the One Happiness Pavilion, those bandits retreated and didn't make things difficult for them. 1 month later, the One Happiness Starry Sky ancient ship arrived at a vast starfield world. And this starry sky world was the Storm Star Field. Looking at the Storm Star Field from the outside, one could vaguely see that the entire Storm Star Field was shrouded in powerful storms. All kinds of terrifying storms swept across the Storm Star Field. Some could even kill great Emperor-level powerhouses. Of course, the most terrifying ones were probably the space-time storms. Of course, space-time storms were also divided into different levels. The most powerful space-time storms could even bury immortal-level powerhouses. From this, one could see how terrifying space-time storms were. Once a space-time storm blew up, it could be called a disaster for any cultivator. We have arrived at the Storm Star Field. Next, we will enter the Storm Star Field. I hope everything goes smoothly," Song Hai Old Man said with a dignified expression. Song Hai Old Man had been to the Storm Star Field several times before. "So, Songhai old man knew how terrifying the storm star field was. In such a place, if one was careless, one might die without a burial place. Therefore, in a place like the storm star field, one must be careful and pray that a space-time storm doesn't appear. The One Happiness ancient starship entered the storm star field. A powerful storm swept over. The all-joy starry sky ancient ship released a huge energy shield. The energy shield immediately enveloped the all-happiness starry sky ancient ship. The raging storm outside was blocked by the energy shield. Lin Feng no longer went into seclusion. He chose to come out. After learning that Lin Feng had come out, Su Jiaomei came to invite Lin Feng for a chat. Su Jiaomei, such a beauty, invited him. Lin Feng naturally had no reason not to go. After arriving at Su Jiaomei's place, Lin Feng smiled and said, "The night is long. Did you invite me here to spend the night with me?" Su Jiaomei smiled and said, "If this servant says yes, do you dare to stay?" Lin Feng smiled. "Why wouldn't I dare? Ha 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 ha." At this moment, a charming laughter came from behind the screen. Next, the female cultivator who looked quite similar to Su Jiaomei walked out. Su Jiaomei and this female cultivator were not only similar in appearance, even their temperaments were somewhat similar. They were both charming women. I've long heard from my sister that Lin Gongzi is a straightforward person. Now that I've seen it with my own eyes, it's indeed the case. The female cultivator squinted her phoenix eyes at Lin Feng and said with a smile. Lin Feng had previously guessed that this female cultivator and Su Jiaomei were most likely sisters. Now, this female cultivator called Su Jiaomei sister. It confirmed Lin Feng's previous guess. These two people, they were really sisters. "How should I address you, fairy?" Lin Feng looked at the female cultivator with interest. Even if he didn't do anything, just looking at such a peerless beauty, it was also a kind of enjoyment. The woman smiled and said, "This servant is Su Jiao. Su Jiaomei is this servant's sister." Lin Feng said, "They are really like two immortal lotuses. They are beautiful and moving, causing one's heart to sway uncontrollably." Su Jiaoyue smiled and said, "Young master is also a talent. I reckon that any woman would like a man like you." Then, does fairy like a man like me? Lin Feng looked at Su Jiaoyue with a smile that was not a smile. "Young master, you can take a guess." Su Jiaoyue winked at Lin Feng. Lin Feng smiled and said, "I'm an optimist, so I always like to think about things on the bright side." Hee. Perhaps young master guessed right. Su Jiaoyue winked at Lin Feng and said. Lin Feng smiled slightly. He didn't think that Su Jiaoyue was as shallow as she appeared to be. In fact, whether it was Su Jiaoyue or Su Jiaomei, these two women were not simple. They were both women who hid very well. If one was deceived by their appearance and was sold by these two women, one would probably have to count the money for these two women. Lin Feng smiled and said, "It's a long, long night. Could it be that the two fairies want to spend this beautiful night with me?" Su Jiaomei said, "The two of us do feel a little lonely in our hearts. Only with young master, we have some common topics, so we thought of inviting young master to come and have a good talk." Lin Feng couldn't help but mutter in his heart. Could it be that this Su Jiaomei really thought so? Or was she just using words to deceive him? However, Lin Feng soon found out that the Su sisters didn't have any ulterior motives in inviting him. It was a sincere invitation. It was a wonderful night. Listening to the two fairies playing the zither together was a great pleasure. The ancient starship All Joy quickly shuttled through the storm star field. After flying for about half a month, a huge whirlpool appeared in front of them. At the center of the whirlpool was a black hole. That black hole seemed to be able to swallow everything. Many things were attracted to the whirlpool. Then, they were instantly torn to pieces by the whirlpool. That whirlpool. It was so terrifying that one couldn't help but feel a sense of horror. Everyone walked out of the cabin and looked at the whirlpool. "We're here," Su Jiaomei said. "We're at the Stone State Ruins?" Lin Feng asked in surprise. "That's right. The Stone State Ruins are inside that black hole. In fact, it's not a real black hole. It's just a star cavern that's similar to a black hole. There's a space inside, but it's extremely dangerous to go there because the whirlpool around the cavern is extremely terrifying. Even great emperors can be torn to pieces by that whirlpool." Su Jiaomei said. Lin Feng couldn't help but be shocked. That whirlpool was actually so powerful. How should we enter the whirlpool? Lin Feng couldn't help but ask. We have a way, Su Jiaomei said. At this moment, old man Songhai took out a treasure. Lin Feng looked over and saw that the treasure was actually a stone orb. Old man Songhai poured his magic power into the stone orb. Then, the stone orb flew into the air. Then, the stone orb cracked open, and a powerful devouring force surged out. Everyone was swallowed by the stone sphere. Even the ancient starry sky ship, the One Happiness, was swallowed by the stone sphere. Then, the stone orb closed again. Chapter 3306. The whirlpool contained a destructive power. However, when the power of the whirlpool bombarded the stone ball, it could not destroy the stone ball at all. Now, everyone was under the protection of the stone ball. They quickly flew towards the center of the star cave. Whoosh! The stone ball was extremely fast, passing through the huge distortion formed by the whirlpool. Then, they entered the interior of the star cave. Finally, the stone ball landed in the depths of the star cave. At this time, the stone ball split open again. Lin Feng and the others flew out of the stone ball. There was no storm at the center of the star cave. It formed an independent space, unlike the outside where storms raged. What appeared in front of them was a hazy and huge country. That huge country was now protected by a powerful restriction. Little friend Lin, it's the restriction here that killed many of our spirit array masters. Old man Songhai said. Lin Feng nodded and then carefully studied the restriction here. The restriction here was indeed very powerful. It contained many terrifying killing arrays and was incomparably dangerous. Moreover, many of the absolute kill grand arrays were linked together, forming a combination array. Among the various large arrays, the combination array was the most terrifying. Lin Feng roughly estimated that there were probably 300 to 400 types of arrays sealing the stone state ruins. The number was too shocking. With so many large arrays forming the restriction in front of them, it was no wonder that so many spirit array masters had died. Looking at the restriction here, Lin Feng couldn't help but feel a sense of fear. Not to mention ordinary people. The large arrays here are so powerful. Lin Feng couldn't help but frown slightly. The large arrays here made him feel deeply shocked. One had to know. As time passed, the power of the restriction here could no longer be compared to when it was first set up. But even so, the large arrays here were still so tyrannical. It was hard to imagine when these large arrays were first set up. Just how terrifying were the restrictions in this place. Little friend, can you break the array? Old man Songhai couldn't help but ask. Lin Feng said, I need some time to study these large arrays before I can finally determine if I can break the array here. All right. Old man Songhai nodded and no longer disturbed Lin Feng. Lin Feng, on the other hand, began to study and deduce the grand formation here. Time passed day by day. Lin Feng deduced countless times. Finally, this allowed him to deduce the solution. If you want to break the formation, you'll need a lot of formation materials. Lin Feng said, Don't tell me you're trying to scam us for our formation materials? Wan Yiming sneered. The cultivators from the Bright Moon Star region and the Yin Yang Star region couldn't help but frown. Lin Feng said indifferently, You're gauging the heart of a gentleman with your own mean measure. Old man Songhai said, Little friend, what array formation materials do you need? Just tell us. We will definitely gather all of them for you. Lin Feng nodded. He took out a jade tube and imprinted more than 10,000 array formation materials in it. This secret technique of mine is a secret technique that uses formations to break through reality. You don't need to completely destroy the restriction here, but you need to concentrate your strength and tear a corner of the restriction. Lin Feng said, Using formations to break formations, what a wonderful method. Old man Songhai couldn't help but praise. Then, the experts of the 4 major forces began to gather the formation materials that Lin Feng needed. Lin Feng could also take out these formation materials. However, Lin Feng wouldn't take them out, because it was also very difficult for him to gather the formation materials. Moreover, he was the only one who could break the formation. He didn't want to be a fool. The four major forces had so many experts. Some of them had lived for tens of millions of years. Their savings were naturally enormous. In addition, they had come to the Stone State ruins this time. They were definitely well prepared. They would definitely be able to take out more than 10,000 formation materials that Lin Feng needed. Sure enough, as Lin Feng had guessed, it didn't take long for the four major forces to gather more than 10,000 formation materials that Lin Feng needed. Then, they handed all the formation materials to Lin Feng. Lin Feng began to set up the formation. It took him 3 days. Lin Feng succeeded in setting up the formation. He activated the formation. The formation that was activated by Lin Feng immediately released a powerful power. It directly blasted towards the restriction that enveloped the Stone State ruins. The method of using formations to break formations was a method that Lin Feng had learned from Taoist Wu Liang. This was the top inheritance of the Taoist lineage of moving mountain. Using formations to break formations was to gather all the power of the formation and then break a corner of the opponent's formation. This was the essence of using formations to break formations. This wonderful method of using formations to break formations played an extremely crucial role at this moment. After many consecutive attacks, the sound of cracking could be heard. The restriction that enveloped the Stone State ruins began to gradually crack. After seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but reveal ecstatic expressions. The formation that Lin Feng had set up continued to attack for 6 hours. Finally, the sound of tearing could be heard. A gap was finally torn open in the formation that enveloped the Stone State ruins. "I didn't let you down." Lin Feng cupped his fists and said to Old Man Songhai, "Ha ha ha ha, little friend Lin's formation skills are truly superb. This old man admires you." Old Man Songhai said with a smile. Then Old Man Songhai continued, "Everyone, there's no time to lose. Let's enter now." Everyone nodded. They quickly entered the interior of the Stone State ruins through the cracked restriction. After entering, they saw dilapidated stone temples appear in front of them. In the distance, it was a dense forest. Stone State ruins. Since it was a country, it naturally couldn't only have one ancient city. A country was made up of ancient cities, mountains, rivers, and so on. Stone State ruins. It was the same. Although the stone temples are dilapidated, we can vaguely see the glory of this place in the past. Old Man Songhai said. Everyone couldn't help but nod. Everyone was shocked by the stone temples in front of them. The stone temples were one after another, as if they were endless. They couldn't even see the end at a glance. Some of the taller stone temples were even thousands of meters tall. They were all built by piling up huge rocks together. I don't know what happened in the past, but it actually destroyed the Stone State. Lin Feng couldn't help but sigh. The Stone State was the absolute overlord of the starry sky world in the past, but it was suddenly destroyed just like that. There was definitely a huge secret hidden behind it. The answer might be hidden in the Stone State. Old Man Songhai said, "Come and see. What is this thing?" In the distance, a cultivator from the Enyang starfield said in shock, "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."